in Denver. Don Criqui with John Brodie. Sold out once again as Mile High Stadium. Some 76,000 are here as the unbeaten San Diego Chargers have Ralph Benerska, number 6, ready to kick it off. Wade Manning is deep for Denver. There's the kickoff. It's a long one. Manning will go 5 yards deep in the end zone. He's coming out. 10, 15, and out to the 19-yard line. So a 24-yard return by Wade Manning of the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos go on offense 1st and 10. Craig Morton in his 17th year in the National Football League at quarterback. His coach, Danny Reeves, says he's better now than he was when he was at Dallas with Reeves some years ago. Dave Preston and Rick Parros are the runners. Pass catchers, young Steve Watson, free agent from Temple, caught 3 for scores last week. Haven Moses, you know about him, and big Riley Odom's at tight end. Good offensive line. Reeves says it's as good as anything they had at Dallas. It is 1st and 10 for the Broncos. First meeting of these two arch rivals in the AFC West. Parros runs and doesn't get much as the big defensive front of the San Diego Chargers knocks him down. They play the 4-3, does San Diego, and across the front they have 68. Leroy Jones, who is on that stop, along with 74, Louis Kelcher, Gary Big Hands Johnson, and Fred Dean starting at right end. Linebackers, Woodrow Lowe, Alabama linebacker. A couple of new people in the starting lineup this year. Cliff Thrift in the middle and Lyndon King at the left side. Good secondary. Williams and Buchanan, experienced corners. A couple of guys coming out at the safeties, Greger and Duncan. There's the head coach, Don Coryell. 2nd down and 9 coming up. Parros, runner from Utah, carries the ball for the Denver Broncos and gets out across the 20 to about the 23. Free safety Bob Greger knocked him down. It is a beautiful day in Denver. Temperature in the high 70s. Bright, sunny. Look at that crowd, John. Always like that here.
They've been sold out for years here. Now they have something to be sold out about. I really think Dan Reeves has got in the future an awful lot to look forward to, because when he puts the offense in that he is very capable of structuring, I think you'll see more offense than you've seen here in the past several years, and that's about all they've needed up here.
Well, we hear, John, so much about the Denver defense, and with reason, but their offense is good. They've been rolling up some 350 yards a game offense. Shotgun now, and Craig Morton takes a look on 3rd and 5, and down goes Craig. So the San Diego defense rises up in the first series of downs and shuts off Denver completely. Let's watch that sack again.
Well, Don, the sack was caused because Woodrow Lowe just played the back coming out of the backfield so beautifully that there was never a case. Tony Reed, who is excellent in one-to-one situations, which was put in a man-to-man situation. If Curly can't get time to throw, it'll be a very long afternoon, because he is not the most mobile person in the world.
Well, those defenses say you know where to find Morton. He sets up, that's where he's going to be. He doesn't move around. Well, Luke Prestridge deep in his own end now to kick. Punts the ball in well. This Rocky Mountain air, signaling for him. Making the fair catch is rookie James Brooks of San Diego. And the Chargers get the ball for the first time with good field position at their 42. The highest scoring offense in the NFL, led by that man Dan Fouts, 38 points a game. Capoletti and Chuck Muncie are his runners to start the game. Charlie Joyner and Ron Smith, the starting wide receivers today, and the great tight end Kellen Winslow. Very experienced offensive blockers. Washington 14 years, White 13 years on the right side, Shields and Wilkerson, Don Masek at center. No score, first quarter, first possession for the Chargers. Fouts runs with the ball.
Not intended, not intended.
Muncie was looking at him, and I think there was a misconnection there.
Well, whenever they run the ball on 1st down, somebody's confused.
1st and 10 run, the loss of a couple of yards. It's going to be 2nd down and almost 12 now for San Diego. Ball at their 40.
I think you'll be looking for San Diego to throw the ball underneath the linebackers of Denver, because that's really the only open spot early. They'll make adjustments. They play every team a little bit differently, but I don't think that they'll let linebackers get behind.
Whoops. Arnie Chavis, the left end for the Broncos, was coming early. We'll see if he was drawn offside. I mentioned those Denver linebackers, John. They are very, very mobile. Get all over the field, pass coverage, then can come up to make the tackle. Led by Gradishaw.
You can understand why he's moving a little bit early, because anytime you have a guy, Russ Washington's playing, you know, he's been an outstanding pass blocker for years, but when it's 2nd and 12, you're not fooling anybody. You know you have to get in your position pretty swiftly. He did that, but you don't get to go that quick.
These two teams have been playing football against each other since the very beginning of the old American Football League back in 1960. San Diego twice consecutively AFC Western champion. Fouts gives off. Muncie doesn't get a thing. Broncos are looking for him at second and 16. Chuck Muncie lost more yardage back inside the 35-yard line. Rulon Jones, number 75, and Barney Chavis, two defensive ends, were there to make a tackle on him.
It's funny how certain teams, Don, they feature certain areas of ability. Now, Denver, they draft Rulon Jones, and they don't expect him to be a great player. And all of a sudden, a kid comes out, and at the end of his first year, he's playing first string on a defensive line that can play with anybody in the league. I don't know what it is they teach you up here, but they do teach you how to play defensively in the line.
Well, he was a great pass rusher coming in as a rookie. Now he's learned to play the run as he did there. It's third down and about 20 for the San Diego Chargers. Now scoring the first quarter. Fouts sets up, triggers it out, and there's Chuck Muncie with some room to run. And Muncie's a full load when he gets going. He gets good yardage, but is well short of the first down, and so San Diego will have to punt the ball back to Denver.
That was not an indicator of the way the defense will play for Denver. When it's third and 20, you know they're going to drop deep. However, I think you will see it on first and second down situations. Nobody even comes into the picture till Muncie's picked up 12 or 13 yards, but the play's successful defensively because they needed 5 more.
Wade Manning gets a lot of work as you see the Orange Crush following. Wade Manning standing back at his 10-yard line to receive the punt. Roberts hits it high. Manning comes over, takes it at the 15-yard line. Chargers cover the punt well. And San Diego sends out its defensive unit. The Broncos go on offense for a second time after a 39-yard punt. So we have 10:59 to play in the first quarter. There's no score on the board, and we'll be back after this. Don Coryell, 4th season as head coach of the Chargers, 8th season as a head coach in the National Football League. You remember the Ford St. Louis. And in his career, he's had 4 playoff teams.
Some guys just have a knack for knowing what to do, and he's one of them.
He's turned out winners wherever he's been. Was a defensive back at Washington State as a college player, never played pro football. Louis Kelcher comes up, makes a hard strike on the ball carrier Dave Custon of Denver.
But you take a look at the strength of the San Diego defense, and it's been in their defensive line. Louis Kelcher, number 74, Big Hands Johnson, number 79. You can see offensive linemen have a tough time moving them anywhere because their fort is strength. Now, people have asked, why are people scoring so many points against them? Jack Pardee said it's because we have 5 new people playing. I think in the very near future, they're going to play a lot better defense.
Well, they're starting to right now as again the Chargers stop the run. There's Big Hands Johnson, number 79, first team all-pro tackle. Denver's given up not that much yardage, but their counterparts on San Diego, their defense has. The Chargers giving up almost 400 yards a game, John.
And Don, as we see Buffalo and Cincinnati tied going into overtime at 24 all, you take a look at a team like San Diego, and they have been vulnerable the last 3 weeks. That's why Denver has seen film of them. Their tackles have not played great football against the run in the last couple of weeks, so their game plan is structured around it. But it doesn't look like their game plan is going to work.
Right now, it's third down and almost 13 for the Broncos. Back inside their 15. Here's Morton out of the shotgun. He throws, and he's got his man downfield for a first down, catching the ball. It's Wade Manning coming back to the ball. That is Steve Watson.
He's picking it up where he left off, Donnie.
Caught 6 passes last year, John. He got 7 last week.
Also 3 for touchdowns. His fort is that he can jump very well. Morton has a strong arm. If his line gives him enough time to allow Watson to run a pattern, and in that particular instance, he was double covered. He's strong enough to throw against double coverage, and Watson is plenty able enough to handle the ball in a crowd.
Here are the scores coming in. The New York Jets looking for their first one of the year way out in front of Houston now at Shea Stadium. 33-17 in the fourth quarter. A 40-yard field goal by Nick Mickemeyer of Buffalo with a second to play sends that game into overtime at Cincinnati, 24-24. Pittsburgh leading New England 21-14. Fourth quarter scored 3 Rivers. The Cleveland Browns evening their record at 2-2 with an upset of the previously unbeaten Atlanta Falcons 28-17. Another upset, Detroit shutting out the Super Bowl champion Oakland Raiders 16-0 at Pontiac, Michigan. And the Philadelphia Eagles pulling away in the fourth quarter now lead Washington 29-13.
That's the one team that has played to form, just as has Miami, until Baltimore comes back after being down 14-0 to tie it up in the third, 21 all. The delay in the action is Dave Studdard. We look at Minnesota Green Bay 27-13 in the third quarter. Dave Studdard, who is a very instrumental part of the offensive line for Denver, is coming out of the ball game, which will necessitate Kelvin Clark going into his place.
Here come the Broncos on offense. Haven Moses, Steve Watson wide to either side. Riley Odoms, the tight end. It's first down and 10. Ball just inside the 30. In the flat, they go to Watson. He's got some room to roll, and Watson's across midfield. Steve Watson, the free agent from Temple. He was a track man there. Excellent high jumper. Good basketball player. He can go way up to get the ball. Puts a move on free safety Bob Greger and gets ahead for a first down.
Donnie, how often it is where you see a kid hang around for 2 or 3 years. You know he's got pretty good speed, pretty good moves, good jumping ability, can catch the ball, but nothing ever happens. All of a sudden, he has one good game, catches 7 balls and 3 touchdowns. In the first quarter now, he's caught 2 balls, picked up 2 first downs. This is where careers get started.
This is really moving right now. 20-yard gain on the play. The Broncos just across midfield. First and 10. Here's Preston. Dave Preston, a hard, elusive runner out of Bowling Green, takes the ball down close to the 46-yard line. He's been a good back for Denver. Catches the ball well, blocks well. Came in as a free agent originally. Bob Greger, the free safety, 43, was on the stop. Gain on the play of 4 yards. Going to be second down and 6. Ball down to the 46-yard line of San Diego with 8:38 to play in the first quarter. Morton threw 3 first-quarter interceptions in this stadium last week against Baltimore and came back to have one of his great days, ended up throwing for 4 touchdowns. Now Morton is sacked for a second time way back inside his 45.
It looks like Kelcher's right in the middle of it. At the end of the play, he was. But it was caused because Big Hands Johnson got around the pile, gave Kelcher enough time to penetrate. He was actually blocked very well. But when you have 4 excellent pass rushers, the quarterback has to get back, know where he's going, and fire that ball before he gets there. Now look at Louis. He's sitting there. It looks like everything's fine. Well, almost any pass play can be thrown in this amount of time. However, Big Hands forced him out of the pocket. He came up and out.
Right now, Craig Morton is coming out of the game. He's shaken up a little bit on the last sack. Sacked twice today. Talking with his coach, Dan Reeves. They came together as rookies to Dallas back in '65. Craig Morton is the #1 draft choice. Dan Reeves is a free agent out of South Carolina.
And this boy that replaced him can home that ball. He can put some spiral on it. He throws it about as well as anybody.
Steve DeBerg was with the 49ers last year. Looks a long one go. A man is out there. Wade Manning comes back to the ball. He has it at the 21-yard line. Boy, he does come out humming it. A big gainer on DeBerg's first play from scrimmage, and now the Broncos have a first down and are challenging.
Don, this is what I like about a team like Denver right now. Dan Reeves comes in, he's a coach. If you remember the philosophy of Denver, don't create any mistakes on offense, let our defense do it. Well, they came out trying to run the ball in the middle. File that, they got stuffed 4 times. They come back in the next possession, they throw 3 balls for first downs. Their quarterback gets hurt, it doesn't change the way they play at all. Now Morton's back in for DeBerg, but DeBerg did his job.
All the way down to the 21-yard line. 34-yard gain on the play, and now the Broncos start to mount a challenge in a scoreless game. Carroll, the runner who had to sit out all of last year after knee surgery, is the leading rusher, 6th in the AFC for the Broncos, gets it to the 20, got a yard only, second down and 9. Gary Johnson tackling for San Diego. 6:45 to play in the first quarter. No score on the board, but Denver getting the big gainer. Takes it down now inside the San Diego 20.
And we're watching Dan Reeves. He does call all the plays. Now, most of the time, it's not the offensive, it's not the head coach who calls them, but Dan, being an offensive specialist, does call it all.
Second and 9. Morton goes into the end zone. Man is open. Riley Odoms, touchdown, Denver Broncos.
Craig's a little slow getting up.
So is Fred Dean, who hit him. It's getting mean out there. It's going to turn into a street fight.
Well, you see, they put everybody on the line of scrimmage. They've got 7 guys back there reading at the quarterback. That puts an unplayable burden on the defensive back. As you can tell, you put an unplayable burden on the defensive back. And he's a new boy at that. Bob Greger, he's going to get beat.
And he got beat, but good. 19-yard gainer. Same bright horse crusher. Making his run around the stadium here at Mile High as the Broncos are on the board with a 6-0 lead.
past 4 or 5 years here, but I think he's going to get quite a bit more in the next 4 or 5.
He used to have that little midget pony. Now he's gone and got the big horse in. Freddie Steinfort drills the extra point into the net. It's up and good. And so with 6:23 left to play in the first quarter, the Denver Broncos strike quickly and they go in front 7-0. Don Criqui with John Brodie back at sold-out Mile High Stadium on a beautiful September day, Denver, Colorado, and the Broncos are in the lead 7-0. Now the kickoff by Steinfort doesn't carry that far. Clarence Williams coming back with the ball for San Diego, and he sweeps it out across the 20 to the 23-yard line. Penalty markers down. It'll go against the Chargers. Referee today is Jerry Seaman. His crew, Frank Sinkovitz, Leo Miles, John Leinbach, Paul Bates, Bill Quinby, and Bill O'Brien.
I think if I'm Dan Fouts, it's about time to look for Charlie Joyner. He hasn't had the ball much.
Illegal block from the rear above the weights, number 52, receiving team. First down.
Ray Preston threw an illegal block, so the ball is set back inside the 10-yard line of the Chargers. They've got a problem now. Charlie Joyner, who comes into the game with a 25-yard per catch average out the left flank. They go to the run to Muncie. The big back from Cal at Berkeley takes it straight ahead across the 10 to about the 11-yard line. He's some football player.
Well, you talk about the great backs, and I think what differentiates the great ones from the good ones is there was nothing at the line of scrimmage, and he picked up 4 yards.
6'4", 235 pounds, comes in as the AFC's leading rusher, averaging 5.2 carries, but in the end zone 5 times. He can also catch it if you know what you're
About as well as anybody.
Coach Coryell, 57 years old, or soon to be next month, looking on his team down 7-0. Second down and 5, right back to the run. Behind the right side, Ed White, Russ Washington lead the blocking, and Chuck Muncie with that great speed sprints out of the blocks and gets the ball to the 15-yard line. It's going to be third down and about 3. Chavis, the left end, was on the stop. He got enlisted at 218, but he's well over 230. His teammates will tell you. He's very fast. 5:07 to play in the first quarter. Terry Smith now comes in to play the right corner for the Denver Broncos. He's played well this year. Handoff on third and short yardage, and Muncie cracks it, gets across the 20, and San Diego has the first down. Here's a penalty marker down.
Got a little extra. You grab any part of Chuck you can when he's got a hold of the ball, particularly when he breaks the point of attack. You know, it's funny, over the years you'd heard so much about Chuck Muncie, Don, and that he was rather incorrigible. Nobody could handle him. He's one of those fellas you don't have to handle. And as Fouts said, he said, I've never met a guy that's more agreeable. And
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 15, defensive team. First down.
easier to get along with and also more contributing. We can see it gets pretty tough in there once they stand to back up. Face mask.
They lost John Jefferson, as you know. He's at Green Bay, but Muncie has added a great dimension to the running game. He came last year. He's not with them in training camp last year. Here's Muncie again, catching the ball. Look at him run. Shuffles his feet, changes his pace, hitching his step, and out to the 45-yard line. A gain on the play of about 9 yards. Barry Smith and Reuben Carter, the middle guard, made the tackle.
What they did is they took advantage of Denver's deep drop by their linebackers, and when you do, they're making you throw the ball to Muncie right now. And if Dan gets a little anxious, throws the ball downfield, they're in perfect position to pick it off. But it's hard to fool a Fouts. He's going to take what you give him until he has to create something.
Fouts also has a quality you had, John, when you were playing, and that is he's very difficult to sack. They've only gotten him once this season in over 100 pass attempts. Handoff. Muncie runs the ball. 2nd and 1, and he didn't get there. Denver defense knocked him down. Gradishar, the great inside linebacker, 53, was on the tackle.
Don, you were talking about Dan Fouts not being sacked very often. That, I think it comes from experience, preparation, and structure. And Dan gets back there. He knows where he's going with the ball. He doesn't fiddle around. He gets hit a lot just as he throws it. But he very seldom has the ball when they get him. And I think it's why he's become such a proficient quarterback. Watch, his steps are real quick. He stands, he throws, and he fires.
Right now he has a short yardage play. Muncie a line behind him. So Goes Cappelletti. Swing pass. It goes out to the rookie tight end from Maryland, Eric Seaver, and he's knocked down by Busick, but the Chargers have a first down. Get the ball out to the 48-yard line. They like Seaver.
Well, he's a perfect complement to Winslow. He's just like Bob Klein used to be for him, or Pat Curran. He can do the things that you need a tight end to do. He can block in short yardage situations. He can run good patterns, and he's got pretty good hands.
Seavers came in the 4th round. Carried 3 tight ends. Another rookie from Notre Dame, Pete Holohan, is also there. Well, the big guy is Kellen Winslow, who caught 89 balls last year. He's aligned to the left. Here we go now to the run again. Chuck Muncie sees nothing inside, breaks it to the outside. And on a first down run, Chuck Muncie takes it across midfield and down to the 47-yard line at Denver. Free safety Bill Thompson tackled it. Thompson's had some great years. Came in as a 3rd-round draft choice 13 years ago from Maryland Eastern Shore. Longest reign as a Bronco ever.
Boy, what amazes me, Don, is how he keeps his speed and quickness back there, having played for so long. He can cover you step for step with the real top tight ends in this league, and that's a tough thing to do now.
It is 2nd down and 6 for San Diego. Denver leads the game 7-0. Whoops, looking for a snap. Don Masick, his center, had a different snap count. Ball never came, and with 2:07 left to play in the first quarter, the penalty marker goes down. That's the 3rd against San Diego early in this game. Brodie wants to change hats. He came in and got a new helmet.
Number 14 offense.
Stan himself.
And it could have been him, but I doubt that it was, because you can see Fields, or Brooks took off down the field. He was in motion on the play. He took off down the field, and he didn't. All he heard was a snap count. So
2nd down and 11 now for the Chargers at their 47. Here comes Gradishar in the blitz, but he might have got across early as the throw is out of bounds by Dan Fouts. Gradishar was coming out of blitz in the inside.
Boy, they are really daring the offense of San Diego. If you looked at the defense that time, Winslow is man-to-man with Louis Wright. Charlie Joyner is man-to-man with Billy Thompson, and then they're comboing the other 3 players. Now, that is really putting a burden on those 2 defensive backs. We talked at the start of the show that those 2 can cover effectively man-to-man.
Offside, number 53 defense.
But it's going to be hard to do for Steady Diet, and I don't think they'll put him in that position too long.
Gradishar was the guilty party. Great player out of Ohio State. NFL Defensive Player of the Year in '78. 4 times a consensus All-Pro. Now his 8th year. Fouts on 2nd down and 6. Looks over the middle. Throws it hard. And Steve Foley, who was a quarterback himself at Tulane as a collegiate, had a free play on the ball but couldn't hold on. Charlie Joyner was the intended receiver.
All right, Winslow's in motion. They've got Billy Thompson man-to-man with him. Fouts is a little confused because he's trying to get in there to Joyner, overthrows him. That's one of the, you can tell. He's just thrown off his timing a little bit. It causes bad throws. Joyner was there and he missed it.
Foley last year, about the 8th game, was moved from the right corner to free safety. A real smart football player. Denver corners playing right up tight against those San Diego wide receivers. 3rd down and 6, and there's the sack. No doubt about it. They get Dan Fouts way back at the 40. Tom Jackson, who was a load of trouble coming in from his linebacker spot, was untouched.
We just mentioned how seldom Fouts gets hit. The crowd tells you he got it that time.
So the Broncos will get the ball back. Dan Reeves says these are critical weeks this Sunday and next for the Denver Broncos because they've got 2 of their tough divisional opponents. They'll be at Oakland next Sunday, a game you'll see on many of these NBC stations. Raiders will be angry. They were shut out today at Detroit. Here's a punt downfield by Roberts of the Chargers. It's a good one. Wade Manning watches it and it hops into the end zone. Manning's going to bring it out. Man.
That's the way you get beat, Don. You get a little lead, you've got a team down. Try to make a great play when all you have to do is leave things go.
58-yard punt by Roberts was the key. And now Denver has the ball, but they're in a hole. Back at Mile High. High Stadium. Denver, Colorado, Don Criqui with John Brodie. Denver came out with a lot of explosion, hit the big pass plays, and took it in. They lead 7-0.
And this is a critical drive for them, Don, because if they can get out of this hole, they won't give San Diego field position. Last time they didn't have excellent field position, ran it in for a touchdown, so who knows?
Wade Manning brought it back to the 5-yard line, returning a punt from his end zone. Morton, quick timing, patted out. Goes to Washington. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Unless they can get him. Lyndon King is in pursuit, but he'll not catch him. And Watson's going to take it the distance. Denver touchdown.
Oh, baby, God.
Another. Look at this play.
Well, what makes it so great is he got stuck. It's very hard for a receiver to keep his attention on the ball when he knows he's in a direct collision course. Not only did he keep his attention on the ball and catch it, but his balance was so beautiful. He got hit from the back, got knocked straight up again, and he was off. No stumbling, no nothing. I think he's making a few believers up here in the Mile High Stadium.
Well, he is. Came in as a free agent in 79 out of Temple in Philadelphia. Home folks are watching him there today in Philly. And so, Steinforth's extra point is up and good. It's a 14-0 game, Denver.
RCA's Video Expo Days. Now our bet.
Well, we've had some explosions here in Denver. Broncos are the team exploding. A 93-yard touchdown pass play. Now, the Chargers have a problem with the ensuing kickoff. Free ball. Denver has it. Denver has the ball. When it happens, it can happen in a hurry. That was Mike Harden. The ball up here, John, and nothing's there.
Well, what happens is the ball was kicked so high. Steinfort did a great job. Williams could not. He was sitting in a pile when he got it. Little bumble, big turnover.
As we don't have to recall very long ago when Denver had a similar problem returning a punt. Wade Manning had the ball down at the 5. Then bang, 93-yard touchdown pass play. Fouts isn't afraid to throw it in his end zone either. Not much there. The Chargers probably got it back to the line of scrimmage and a little more. Dave Preston. Mike Williams is coming up to make the play. Now Preston comes out. Plays being alternated in by Danny Reeves. Broncos might have gotten a foot or so as they get a little bit closer to the end zone, leading the game 14-0, looking to try to break it open early. Morton at quarterback. Looks. Free man in the end zone. Touchdown, Denver Broncos. Jim Wright, the third-string tight end. Jim Wright releases from the line of scrimmage and is all alone, and the Broncos open up a 20-0 lead.
It would feel pretty safe if you were playing anybody else but San Diego. San Diego has not been able to do anything offensively because Denver's had the ball. Credit Morton. Now he comes out of this fake and he's throwing quick. Looks up, sees the tight end, gets him before he runs out of room. Touchdown.
Steinforth's been kicking a lot of extra points here in the first quarter. That's his third with 11 seconds to play in the quarter. The Denver Broncos have opened up a 21-0 lead. 3 touchdown passes by Greg Morton.
You know, I credit the whole thing, Don, also. We look at the stands. They're absolutely elated, but also surprised. And I credit Dan Reeves for coming out against San Diego, knowing they have to put some points on the board, throwing 7-yard line. Remember, it's the head coach calling the plays. Throwing a ball that's really tough to complete. It's an inside pattern, thought to be very dangerous. He hits Watson and turns the whole game around. 14 points later, they're saying, can it be true?
It surely can be. Greg Morton last week threw 3 interceptions in the first quarter. Responded to throw 4 touchdown passes today. Puts up 5, hits 5, 150 yards, and 3 scores.
He's thrown 7 touchdowns in the last 3 quarters.
That's right. So now San Diego tries to get its stuff together. James Brooks, that spectacular rookie from Auburn, is back. He's going to field the ball at his 3. A wave of blockers forms, and Brooks sprints up the middle and takes it all the way out to the 25. And Air Coryell's got to get on track right now. San Diego's going to get back in this game. 1 second left to play in the first quarter, and the Charger offense comes out looking at a scoreboard that shows them down 21-0. Coryell's not sure what hit his Air Force here. Big plays have been the key as a man is down for the Denver Broncos. Wade Manning.
Here are the scores in the NFL.
They're not extremely long in that position either, Don. Wade Manning is a backup wide receiver behind Watson and Moses. Upchurch is hurt, not expected to play. We saw him before the game. Looked like he was running all right, but I know they do not want to use Rick Upchurch unless it's absolutely necessary. And I can't really think of any team I'd rather have protecting a 21-point lead than the Denver defense.
There's the man. I thought it was interesting when I was talking to Dan Reeves before the game. I said, how do you compare Morton now to when he was at Dallas? He's a better quarterback. His arm is just as good, lost a little mobility, but he never really had any. But he's a lot smarter. He doesn't try to force things, and he looks at the whole field every time he's going to throw.
I think he's just expanded as a person, and when that happens, you seem to do a little better as a quarterback. He's always been about as tough as they come.
Not many guys last 17 years. You did at quarterback. I can't think of any others. I guess Blanda.
Well, there's a few that last. Unitas played 19. Dawson played 18 or 19. I don't think that'll be the future, however. They come and go pretty fast nowadays.
Dan Fouts is in his 9th year with San Diego. First down and 10 for the Chargers. He's ready to let it rip. Fires out in the flat. Muncy has the ball. Look at him go. Chuck Muncy breaks tackles, gets ahead for 13 yards and a San Diego first down. He's out to the 38-yard line. So the Chargers get a good gainer, break it out. We'll be back to Mile High Stadium right after this. The second quarter at Mile High Stadium. It has been an explosive first quarter for the Denver Broncos as they lead this game 21-0 on 3 Craig Morton touchdown passes, one of them covering 93 yards to young Steve Watson. First and 10 now for the San Diego Chargers. Muncy's caught behind the line of scrimmage and goes down to 37. Bryson Manor, defensive end, number 66, got him. Linebackers for the Denver Broncos, and they're really the strength of this defense. Swenson 51, Larry Evans 56, Gradishar 53, and Tom Jackson 57, who had that big sack earlier of Fouts.
Don, if you do not see the wide receivers, as we watch Muncy unable to find any hole at all, Bryson Manor gets through the crack, pulls him down for no gain. 51 Bob Swenson jumps on afterwards. They're big and strong up front.
The number 1 offense in the NFL, San Diego's against the number 1 defense, Denver's, but it's been the Denver offense that has been the story early in this game. As the throw from Fouts to Eric Sievers, his young tight end, is incomplete.
They're moving people all around defensively for Denver, and until I think Fouts starts challenging Lewis Wright and Billy Thompson, he's going to have a little problem because he's outmanned in there. That time it would have been a tight catch for Sievers. He's got Winslow over there with Thompson. He's got Joyner on Louis Wright. It's a tough job to handle, but he's got to try.
Cincinnati has just defeated Buffalo in overtime, 27-24. Overtime game. Steelers won an overtime game, 27-21 over New England. Fouts takes his time. He looks and he gets his man. The ball is completed out to the midfield as Kellen Winslow takes it on the run. Man who's redefined the tight end position. 6'6", 250, and runs like a wide receiver.
Yeah, and I think that you'll notice more than anything, Don, they've got Seaver in there also as a tight end. When Winslow's in there, he is more than a tight end. He doesn't catch a lot of balls from the tight end position. He catches them mostly from in motion and split out in the slot position. That time he was able to shake Billy Thompson didn't have him man-to-man. Aaron Kyle had the responsibility, and they may come back to that.
John, they got a good one going at Baltimore. The Colts and the Miami Dolphins tied up 28 all in the fourth quarter. First down and 10 now for San Diego. Fouts looks long. Charlie Joyner coming back at the ball, tipped in the air, intercepted by Denver. Steve Foley has the ball. He's not done. Across the 20 and all the way out to the 22-yard line. A tip ball and a free safety. Steve Foley gets the ball for the Broncos. Aaron Kyle tipped at the right corner.
I tell you, you can't teach something like that. That's just great reaction by Foley when the ball's thrown in the air. They're trying to get Joyner down the field on Aaron Kyle. Foley comes over looking for any sort of loose ball. You notice he doesn't just go up blindly. He's waiting to see a tip. He finds the tip. He's able to get control of the ball. And when he picks it up, he gets some kind of help. Bryson Manor coming in late tries to help him to keep him from doing something out of bounds. That red jersey flying through the air was Bryson Manor.
So Fouts, who's been sacked twice today, throws the intercept, and the Broncos have the ball back. There's the man who got it, Steve Foley. Aaron Kyle playing the pass so well, tipping it away from Charlie Joyner, and Foley able to intercept.
I don't think I've ever seen two people that he is a better free safety than he was a cornerback, but all four of those fellas can play cornerback back there, and that's what makes it tough, even when you have a one-on-one situation.
Now the Broncos back on offense, leading 21-0 early in the second quarter. First and 10 at their 22. Haven Moses comes in motion. Pitch back goes to Preston, running hard at the San Diego defense. He gets across the 25. Got 4. Woodrow Lowe down the play. What a great day it is in Denver. Temperature in the mid to upper 70s. Cloudless skies. Playing a natural grass field. Watson comes wide left. 2nd and 6 play coming up for the Broncos. Running hard with the ball is Tony Reed, a Colorado back who came in here from Kansas City. He gets the ball to the 30. It's going to bring up 3rd and short yards. Lyndon King, left side linebacker, tackle for San Diego.
I think if Denver has a short yardage pass, they'll use it right now. They do not want to let the momentum that they've developed in the past 10 minutes get away from them. They're not going to do something foolish. If they have a short yardage pass where they can get Preston man-to-man on the linebacker, they'll use it.
San Diego's big defensive front digs in now, 3rd down and 2, and Morton's ready to put it up. Throws, Watson. Spectacular one-hand catch makes the play for the Broncos.
I guess he did make a beautiful catch. That ball was overthrown, and it appeared to me he had no chance to make the play. Not only caught the ball, picked up the first down, but kept Curley 100%.
Curley, of course, being your old friend Craig Morton.
Well, that's some kind of reception. Getting excellent protection at this time of the ball game, too. We saw San Diego break the protection a couple times early in the ball game, but since they've been burned, they haven't been back in the pocket quite as swiftly.
Steve Watson has been a big story the last 2 weeks here at Denver. From Wilmington, Delaware, out of Temple University in Philadelphia. Morton takes a look again, pumps, throws, a little long. Even Moses had a step on the defender, Willie Buchanan. That's not easy to do. Buchanan, one of the strong corners in the league.
That was a...
The scores roll in from around the National Football League on this. Look at that. The Jets come up with their first win, beating Houston soundly. Cincinnati on the breach field goal defeats the Buffalo Bills 27-24. Pittsburgh winning over New England 27-21. Cleveland upset Atlanta today 28-17.
As a favorite one today, no?
It's been a tough day for the Chalk.
Only Pittsburgh.
Here's Morton taking a look, throws, and the ball is completed to Dave Preston coming out of that field on a 2nd and 10 play. He got ahead for 7 yards out to the 41. Horn in the middle linebacker. He plays the passing downs mostly for San Diego. Made the tackle. 4 scores. Detroit, impressive win on their home field at Pontiac, Michigan, flanking Oakland 16-0. Denver heads to Oakland next Sunday. Philadelphia rolled it up in the 4th quarter to beat Washington. It was a tight game. Baltimore and Miami. Dolphins yet to lose this season. They've got a problem right now tied up with the Colts of Baltimore. Morton takes a look, pump fakes twice and goes to Riley Odom. He is a load coming down the field. That big guy gets ahead to the 41-yard line of San Diego. Third pass to Riley Odom. And the game's all the way down to the 41.
I mean, when a quarterback gets that much time, he allowed Riley Odom to go down, make a turn to the right, hook. Duncan got in his way, he turned back in the middle. If we had a clock on it, he had to take him about 5 seconds to get the pass off. Anybody can complete him under those conditions.
Get pump faking, let it go. It's an 18-yard gain, and the Broncos move on. First and 10 at the San Diego 41-yard line. Greg sees something he's not quite sure of in that San Diego defense and calls for a timeout with 9:52 left to play in the first half. And the Denver Broncos holding to a surprising 21-0 lead on their home field. We'll be back in Denver after this. For some folks, there's more sun than you need today in Denver, as the Broncos, with spectacular passing, big plays, have opened up a 21-0 lead. Now they have the ball first and 10 at the San Diego 41-yard line. 9:52 to play in the first half. Morton 8 for 9, throwing the ball for 179 yards and 3 touchdowns. Running high with the ball is Tony Reed, and he is caught and thrown back. Not more middle linebacker for the Chargers got it. 55.
I don't think, Don, I've ever seen a team play outstanding defense when they switch middle linebackers. It's almost, people are asking, what's going on with the Chargers? They've got all those people on defense. They've got 3 fellas that have played in the Pro Bowl. They've got a couple of good linebackers. They've got Willie Buchanan and Mike Williams playing the corners, who are outstanding people, but their coordination is very suspect. It has been all year long. That's why people scored the points they've scored. And I just get the feeling you can't alternate your middle linebacker position.
They've been doing it. Horn's been the passing down guy. Middle linebacker's in there now. On second and long, they go to the run. Weaving hard, getting some yardage is Rick Harros. Born in Brooklyn, out of Salt Lake City, Utah. He played at the University of Utah. 6th in the AFC in rushing. Coming off a knee injury that required surgery and kept him out all of what would have been his rookie year. Steve Watson of Denver has caught 4 passes today for 134 yards and a touchdown. Riley Odom has 3 receptions for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. Or 1 touchdown for Riley and 1 for Jim Wright. It's third down and about 5 as the Broncos shift into the shotgun. Morton with that gun arm fires, and Preston has the ball. Denver Broncos ripping open the San Diego defense.
What a well-conceived play. He let Preston get on Woodrow low, and he waited and he waited and he waited. And finally, instead of going out to the sideline, which is Preston's pattern, he stopped cutting the middle. Everyone had dropped so deep that the middle was just wide open. Here he goes, looks to the outside, throws it to the inside, and Preston's left Woodrow has a lot of room to run.
San Diego coming in, giving up almost 400 yards per game. Although they've won their first 3, they could give up 400 yards in the first half against this defense. Not misplayed out. Tony Reed is caught way back at the 25-yard line. First and 10 run from the 18-yard line. Tony Reed loses 7. Big Louis Kelcher, a comeback story. Knee surgery in '79, kept him out all year. Then Big Louis from Beaumont, Texas, and SMU came back last year to make the Pro Bowl.
All right, we're looking at this drive, which, you know, it starts on the 18-yard line, and it's 21-0, so people are saying, ho-hum, no big deal. But when you look at the end of the ball game, and you're playing against a team like San Diego, this might be the straw that could break their back or put them back in the ball game. So this is an important drive.
Second and 17, Morton elects to go to the run. The ball comes inside the 25-yard line as Preston runs it down to about the 22. Game clock running in the second quarter, 6:50 to play. And the Broncos, if you joined us late, scoring very quickly, put up 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. One on a 19-yard pass to Riley Odom. One a 93-yard pass play. It was mostly run by young Steve Watson. And then Morton from in close hit his 3rd-string tight end, Steve Wright, for the 3rd touchdown. Look at those numbers for Craig Morton. Shotgun, 3rd and 14. Man is wide open. Watson again. Denver. Buchanan and Greg are looking at each other like, where were you? And Steve Watson is in the end zone for a second time today, for a fifth time in the last 2 games. It's unbelievable.
Don, we talked about coordination. That's what's missing. I mean, Buchanan is an outstanding quarterback. They're playing a double zone defense down near the goal line. He's thinking Gregor's going to be back in position. When the ball's caught, Gregor was nowhere around. Touchdown. How sweet it is, and isn't it easy when everything goes right?
Easy money today for the Denver Broncos as Steinforth's extra point is up and good. 6:19 to play. First half. And it's a, believe it or not, a 28-0 game. Denver over the favorite and previously unbeaten San Diego Chargers. The Chargers have the power to come back. We'll see if they can. Criqui back at Mile High Stadium. It has been an all-Denver afternoon as the Broncos lead in the first half 28-0, and now Freddie Steinforth kicks off out of the end zone. Final score just in from Baltimore. With 1:02 left to play in the game, Uwe von Schaumburg kicked a 27-yard field goal. Miami Dolphins hold on to beat the Colts 31-28. Miami remains unbeaten, 4-0 on the year. Baltimore gave them a full run.
Puts them 2 up, though, in that AFC East because Buffalo got beaten today by Cincinnati. So those 2 overtime games were a big switch.
Now it's 1st and 10. To the run, and James Brooks, rookie #1 draft choice from Auburn, is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. By a Bronco defense, it's firing out as soon as that ball is snapped. Gradishar was on the play, so was 66 Bryson Manor. Randy Gradishar from Champion, Ohio. Woody Hayes calling the best linebacker we ever had at Ohio State.
He could have been the best linebacker they ever had at about any college he chose to play.
Right. They mic'd him once. Do a special show on him. All he got was some deep breathing and a couple of nice goings. He doesn't say much out there.
Well, that talking's a little overrated for him.
Give him a little chit-chat. Here is Dan Fouts on 2nd down, and they tip ball. Denver has it. Steve Foley, who takes a full shot from Kellen Winslow. Foley is down. His 2nd interception, and the Broncos have it back. This is a career day. You recall that opening game of the season when San Diego went to Cleveland and played about as well as a football team can. Now it's all come back. A mirror performance, only this time it's by Denver against San Diego. Foley with his 2nd interception. He took some shot from Kellen Winslow.
Let's take a look. We've talked about Gradishar. This is Bob Svensson, #51, trying to make the play on Seaver. Seaver's got the ball, lets it go through his hand, and this is what's great. The coordination between the 2 safeties at Denver is about as good as you'll find anywhere. On the other side of the coin, where has San Diego had their problems? In the coordination area. Their middle linebackers alternating. Their 2 safeties are new. These guys are great in the middle of their defense, and you can see Fouts is a little frustrated. He's got some time left, but something has to happen quick for them to get back in this ball game. I've never seen anybody come back from 28-0. But last week, you'll recall that Kansas City came back after it was 28-7, and when San Diego was ahead. Take a look at this hit. Kellen Winslow, I guess, can do just about everything. Whew.
Well, he's given away some weight, Steve Foley, as he's about 188. Kellen Winslow's at least 250, and he unloaded with full leverage. That's a very interesting point you're making now, John, about the strength of the San Diego team up the middle, the lack of strength there and experience, and the change in middle linebacker depending on if it's a passing down or a short yardage down. Conversely, Denver has great experience in people like Gradishar, all-pro quality inside backer, and Bill Thompson, a 13-year veteran at strong safety, and Foley, the free safety with a lot of years.
Yeah, I mean, you can just take a look. Foley's the kind of guy that has been around picking up stray balls for 7 years, and he's exactly what Denver needs.
We'll be back in a moment. Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is KOA TV, Channel 4 in Denver.
5:27 left to play in the first half. You see the opposing coaches. Dan Reeves on the left, 37 years old, youngest coach at this time in the National Football League. His 57-year-old counterpart from San Diego, Don Coryell, whose high-power offense has been shut down today. It has been Denver rolling up the points and leading this game 28-0. Morton, first and 10, throws in the flat to Watson. The elusive Mr. Watson, remember that play a little earlier, went for 93 yards and a touchdown. This time Willie Buchanan was there to catch him and hold on.
Well, I think Buchanan's using good sense. He's not going to stand there and play a man-to-man all over the field, having been beaten for a couple touchdowns. And they gave him a little 4 or 5 yard play. And, you know, I think I've seen Craig Morton doing more things with the football today than I have in the past 4 or 5 years when he's been in Denver. And I relate that to structure. They're doing the things offensively that gives a quarterback a chance to throw better.
He's mixing the ball up, putting it all over the field. Everybody gets a piece of it, all his receivers. He has second down and 6. Pitch back. Rick Harrows runs the ball for Denver. Spins off inside the 25. He's thrown down. They're short of a first down by 2, maybe 3 yards. Bob Horn and Bob Greger on the tackle for the Chargers.
Everybody used to have a book on Denver, all right? They won't throw the ball inside their own 50. They won't do the things that create unnecessary mistakes. Well, that's gone by the boards. If you can't go out and create something offensively, you're just putting your defense in such a hole that eventually somebody's going to beat you. And that's been happening to Denver in tight games over the past 2 or 3 years. I don't think it's going to happen to them.
Right now, they send Haven Moses wide left, go back to the right. Harrows tries it up the middle. Harrows is a fullback, not a big one. Weighs in at about 205 pounds, stands 5'11". But over the years at Dallas, they've only had one big fullback. That was Calvin Hill. They like the small, quick back fullback to get outside.
I tell you, they got one down there. That Bobby Newhouse wasn't bad. He might only been about 3'6", but he put something on you. Walt Garrison had an awful lot in 210 pounds.
Yes, he did. Right now, the Cowboys are leading the New York Giants 3-0 in the first quarter. Here's Steinfort. Had a great year last year kicking field goals, 76%. Started off slow, only 2 of 8 this year, and he's blocked today, so he's 2 of 9. Chargers will get the ball through 23. I talked to Steinfort before the game. He said it's like a golf swing. Got to keep the head down. Now he's picking 9 up. He thought he had things worked out.
Yeah, it is an awful lot like a golf swing, but when you get in the groove, you start making everything you hit. This is just real good defensive play by the interior part of the San Diego defense. One of the few good defensive plays they've made.
We'll be back at Mile High Stadium right after this. Mile High Stadium is one of the biggest stadiums in the National Football League, but the one problem they have here is not big enough. They could sell 130 or 140,000 season tickets. Sold out for an 83rd time today. Fouts looking to throw. He has a problem. The San Diego offense is knocked back again. This time coming in is Reuben Carter. Short but powerful middle guard for Denver. 3rd sack of Fouts.
Let's just credit the defensive linebackers and defensive backs, because there was nowhere Fouts could go with the ball. His drop's real quick. He's ready to go out to the left right now. He's got Charlie Joyner is hammered. He's got nowhere to go. It's all a coordinated effort. That's how Denver gets as many sacks as it does. It puts its quarterbacks man-to-man on receivers, and they cover them all over the field. I'd go broke trying to beat them, but a lot of people have.
Last year, Chargers came in here, John, and protected Dan Fouts and beat Denver 30-13. Then they went to San Diego for the second meeting. Here's a strike. This time the ball is completed. Ryan Smith has the ball. He's in a foot race and gets out to the 45-yard line, but there is a flag down. In the second meeting between these two teams at San Diego, Denver sacked Fouts 6 times and won the second game 2013.
Little offensive holding.
2:42 to go in the first half, and the Broncos continue to keep the heat on San Diego, leading the game 28-0.
When it's going good, we see Dan, he's again trying to pick on Louis Wright. With Smith, who gets down, has enough time to throw the ball, puts the ball right where he needs. You can see the holding call up
Number
at the top
66 offense.
Billy Shields, the left tackle, got caught. Get some big people. They've got buildings in that front line of San Diego. Shields is 6'8", 275. Russ Washington, 6'7", 290, the other tackle. Ed White, one of the guards, is 275. Doug Wilkerson's 270.
We got a few mounds on defense, too, pal.
Yes, they do. That front line, I guess, is as big as there is in football. San Diego defensive front. Fouts takes a look, throws, he's got him in. Coming out of that field is John Cappelletti. He's out close to the 30-yard line. He had a lot of ground to make up on a 2nd and 25 play. He got most of it back. It's going to be now 3rd down and about 4. John Cappelletti. They've had an L.A. San Diego connection. A lot of Ram players come down to San Diego, and a lot have gone north.
Well, I like Cappelletti, and he complements what Muncie does very well, and they kind of insert Brooks and Cappelletti when they're in a passing situation early, because Cappelletti is so familiar with what Fouts likes to do. They'll put him in a lot in third down passing situations.
Former Penn State Heisman Trophy winner. One thing Cappelletti can block. He'll obliterate those people when he hits them. Now the 2-minute warning is given. 2 minutes to play in the first half here at Mile High Stadium. The Broncos continue to lead the game 28-0, and we'll be right back after this. For all the latest developments in the drive for the playoffs, be sure to tune to NBC's Baseball Game of the Week. Next Saturday, the final Saturday of the regular season. Our lineup depends on the playoff races, so check your local listings for the game in your area. Next Saturday at 2 p.m. here on NBC Sports, the home of Major League Baseball down the stretch in the second season. The NFL season moving into a fourth week today with surprises, upsets all over the league, and certainly one in the development here at Mile High Stadium. The Chargers came in favored. Broncos lead this game 28-0. Minnesota was an underdog at Green Bay today and was behind 10-0 early, and then young Tommy Kramer started to hit the passes, and the Vikings rout the Green Bay Packers 30-13. That's the final score. San Diego not doing well on third downs. Converting them, they have a 3rd and 4 right now. They're 30. Fouts sets up, throws over the middle to Charlie Joyner, and he gets ahead very close to the first down. He had to get to the 34, just beyond it. Where they're spotting the ball, he's not there.
It's also the first time they've been able to get to Joyner. They'll give him something 2 or 3 yards down the field. San Diego's got to go for it on 4th and 1, even if they don't pick it up. They've got 1:47 left to play. That's plenty of time to get in the end zone, but they've got to put something on the board just so they have something to talk about at halftime.
They're down right now 28-0 with 1:47 to play in the half. Dan Reeves, the coach at Denver, says, we're not a super talented team. We're going to have to fight for everything we're going to get this season. Today the points have come rather easily. They've broken the big plays.
They're super talented where it's toughest to get people. That is in their defensive line, their defensive linebackers, and their quarterbacks. Their offensive personnel, their specialists, they're not extremely talented. Morton has to have a good day for them to make something offensively. But you can draft that. There's a lot of them around the league, and you can bet they'll improve quickly.
Well, I tell you, if Denver ever had a Muncie, you have to throw a net over them. 1:43 left to go now in the first half as the Denver Broncos signal for a timeout. San Diego has the ball when we come back. This is a public service by the National Football League. 1:43 left to play in the first half. Don Criqui with John Brodie, Denver's Mile High Stadium. As the Broncos send out the defense now, looking at a 4th down play coming up for San Diego. 4th and less than a yard. Chargers have to move the ball out and get 4 new downs as they're down in this game 28-0. Goal line front. San Diego. Got it over the top. Cappelletti leaping over the top. James Brooks going over the top to get it.
The impressive thing about San Diego is they still are playing the game to win. A lot of teams would have punted on 4th down. Let's get it in the locker room and regroup. They kept the drive alive, and they're on the line right now.
Fouts throws in the flat, goes to James Brooks. On a first down play, Brooks is across the 40, not close to the 44-yard line. Tom Jackson, inside linebacker, made the tackle. Clock winding down now, 1:10 and running.
It's 2nd down. 2 to go.
Stops the clock as he throws it to one of the assistant coaches.
Remember, that is not a penalty. You can throw the ball away to stop the clock, just not to keep from losing yardage. They can regroup now. They've got a couple timeouts left. In fact, they've got all 3 left. They've got 1 minute and 1 second to get it down the field, 56 yards. 3rd down and 2. They may just run the ball here because on 4th and 2 it gets rather tough to pick it up.
Moulin Jones comes out. Bryson Manor goes in to rush the passer at right end. 4 down linemen. Latimer's also in. Handoff on 3rd and 2 goes to James Brooks, and he breaks it, and James Brooks is down to the 46-yard line of Denver. The game clock is now inside 54 seconds.
This is the first drive, Don. It's looked like the offensive line has beaten Denver's defense at the line of scrimmage. I saw that play break. It broke. Brooks had some running room before he got to the line. 54 seconds to play. They've got a lot of time to put some points on the board.
Don Coryell Talking it over with Dan Fouts. Coming up at halftime, Bryant Gumbel and NFL 81. An update on all the scores and the stories of this fourth weekend of play. It has been a day of upsets. Coryell had a long time waiting for that first head coaching job. Started out at a high school in Honolulu, Hawaii. Later coached in Whittier College in California. Coached at the University of British Columbia. Was a paratrooper in the Second World War, then went to Washington State as a defensive back. Always has good defensive coaches with him. At San Diego State, we had those great teams, 3 unbeaten seasons. His defensive coach was John Madden. He worked on the offense, did Coryell.
You know, I think the impressive part, and I think it's indicative of Coryell, somebody asked him to assess the season, and he said, I don't assess seasons. I assess each opponent as we play them. And he said, I really just live from week to week in this game, and it's worked very well for him. And he says, it's the only thing I can do to put all my attention against my opponent and see how we come out. That way I don't let it bother me after it's over, but I know I've prepared myself during the week.
He always gives people something different to look at, the defenses he meets each week. Here's Craig Morton, 11 for 12, 222 yards and 4 touchdowns. You can retire on that.
How sweet it is, just another day at the plant. His offensive line's giving him a lot of time to throw the ball. Their patterns are very creative, and he's executed it just about perfectly.
Gusting wind blowing here in Denver. Beautiful sunshiny day. First and 10, Fouts with 50 seconds left. Pump fakes, takes a look. Throws on the run into the end zone. Charlie Joyner is there. Up he goes, and the ball is free. It was exciting, but it comes up as a loud out.
Well, that was close to being over the line of scrimmage when he threw, and it would have been nothing. They just brought it back to where it is anyway, second down and 10. But Mike Harden was impressive there. When that ball was put in the air, he was clear over on the other stripe. Got to the ball before it hit the ground. Here's Louis and Charlie having a go at it. Here comes Harden. Looking for any bobbles.
They've had the blanket on Charlie Joyner today. He's had a great season to date. Came in with 15 receptions, averaging over 25 yards a catch for the Chargers.
That's what Denver does. They take away what you do best.
Now it is second down and 10 for the Chargers. Going to draw. Capelletti runs with the ball and takes it down to the 37-yard line. 38 seconds to play. And the Chargers call for timeout. San Diego coming into the game with victories this season, and their first 3 times out they blew away Cleveland. Had a tough time with Detroit. Tough time with Kansas City. Come in 3-0. Next week they're back at Jack Murphy Stadium to play Seattle. Denver Broncos open with an upset here against the Oakland Raiders, 9-7. Lost the next week in Seattle, a game they very easily could have won. Mistakes hurt them. Came back last week, played their best game, routing the Baltimore Colts. Next week, the Denver Broncos head to Oakland.
Whenever you're giving up 30 points in 3.5 games, you got a lot of positions where you should have won the ball game. That's what's been going on today.
San Diego comes in averaging 38 points a game. Dan Reeves says, as you heard him at the outset, the way you stop San Diego is don't let their offense get the ball. You've got to control it with your offense.
Yeah, he said that for publicity, but I'll tell you what he told his defense. We take away Charlie Joyner, we take away Kellen Winslow, we make them throw the ball to Severs, and we make them throw the ball to Capelletti. We give them the ball to Muncie in the flats, and we can converge on that play, but we don't give them anything deep. That's how they score all their points. They haven't been given anything all day long.
They surely have not. They have shut down San Diego's high-scoring and #1 offense. Chargers blank for almost 2 quarters of play. 38 seconds, 3rd and 1. Throw in the flat. Out it goes. Catching the ball is John Capelletti. First down to the 30, and the clock is down to 30 seconds and stopped.
That's their last time out, Donnie, but they've still got plenty of time to put 4 balls in the end zone. I'll be interested to see if they do get it down another 7 or 8 yards before the half, if they try to kick a field goal. I rather doubt that they will. They know they've got to get touchdowns on the board to have any chance of catching a 28-0 deficit. Fouts back. He will not duck his head and consider this game over until the final bell is rung. Capelletti makes a nice play and picks up the first.
A couple of terrific specials tonight on NBC. A Bob Hope special and a Johnny Carson special. That's tonight as Dan Fouts goes over with the ball at the San Diego or the Denver 30. 1st and 10.
Steve Watson
First, he had to win his way onto the lineup, into the roster as a free agent, and he made the starting team. Keeps going like he is. He's going to be in the Pro Bowl. Caught 7 balls last week, 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. Look at him today. 6 catches for 158 yards and 2 scores.
Whenever you see a receiver that's really catching a lot of balls and doing a lot of things, you see a team that has a good offensive structure, and you see a way for them to get him open, and you've also got a quarterback who's throwing the ball well. And I think Craig Morton and Dan Reeves' structure right now have allowed Steve Watson to get the ball thrown to him, and he's made the most of it.
Morton has had this spectacular day. Now 30 seconds left. Chargers will be a firing. 1st and 10 at the 30. Fouts looks, throws. The ball is tipped but off the hands of Ron Smith, former L.A. Ram. San Diego fans remember him as a hero last January. That playoff game with Buffalo, and the Bills were leading late in the game. Smith ran the post pattern, caught the ball, and he was gone, and San Diego won.
He kept him alive, and that was a very big catch. But if they're going to get in this ball game, he's got to catch balls like that, because it might have been tipped on, but from this angle, it didn't look like it.
So it's going to be 2nd down and 10 now for the Chargers, just inside the Denver 30. 24 seconds on the first half clock. Fouts again. Rulon Jones, 4th sack of the day for the Denver defense. Coming into the game from 3 previous games, Fouts have been sacked just once.
Boy, those defensive linemen getting their starting blocks, and they're coming when they get you 28-0. Billy Shields is just having about all he can handle right now. Remember, he's thought to be about as good as Russ Washington, and that's an awful high level of play.
Rulon Jones is a force, though. Here he comes again. He gets Fouts again. Fouts gets away, drills the ball, and he is caught down to the 25-yard line. But the game clock winds out the first half. That is the deal here for 2 quarters. And the Denver Broncos, through 2 periods of play, blast the San Diego Chargers by a score of 28-0. A standing salute. That Rocky Mountain Thunder starts to rain on down from all over Mile High Stadium. 76,000 standing tribute to a great performance by the Denver Broncos.
Well, they've got him in such a hole now that you can bet they're going to get some more sacks on Fouts. He's got no option. He's going to get him back in the ball game. I've never seen a team win when they were down 28-0 at half. If there's anybody I'd like to take my chances on, it would be the San Diego offense, but I'd rather have somebody else to play against than Rulon Jones and these boys from Denver.
Rulon Jones has been something. A number 2 draft choice a year ago out of Utah State. He's becoming one of the best defensive ends, both the pass and the run. He plays well now. So that's the story as they head to the locker room here at Denver. We'll be going to NFL 81, a complete update of this 4th weekend of play. That's the end of the first half. The score is Denver 28 and San Diego nothing. Dan Fouts has his work cut out for him. As you see the halftime numbers, Denver leading San Diego 28-0. This is Don Criqui with John Brodie back at Mile High Stadium. Quarterbacks wait for that perfect day, John. Might have taken Craig Morton 17 years, but I think he found it.
Well, Craig Morton is having about as good a day as anybody could possibly have. On the other side of the coin, Dan Fouts has had his 2 prime receivers taken away from him, and no one else has picked up the slack. It's going to really be a long day if Dan doesn't get something in the first drive.
You brought out an interesting point as we look at those first half numbers, that Denver is so good at taking away the strength of the other team, and they've really done that. Like Joyner, the top receiver for San Diego Chargers, caught 1 ball for 4 yards.
And what they do it week in and week out, because when talking to the San Diego people, they said you can never tell what Denver's going to do from week to week because they play the other team's strengths so well.
Here's James Brooks on the kickoff return coming up the field across the 20, and a penalty marker goes down. So the Chargers infuriated, throwing their hands in the air as they see another marker. Another roadblock is thrown against them. This has been their worst day of the season. They opened with the perfect football performance against Cleveland. Today it has been Denver's turn.
I think it's their worst day in several seasons, because if you just take...
Illegal block above the waist from the rear, number 54, receiving team. First down.
Take a look back down to the end of the '78 season when Fouts really started to come on. Since that time, you know, he's thrown for more yards than anybody in the history of the game ever threw, and this is the worst day he's had.
And he starts out in the hole with the penalty, back inside his 10. Swing pass out to James Brooks. Great play by a great player, Randy Gradishar catches the little sprint back from Auburn.
Oh. Boy, you don't know how hard it is for a middle linebacker to be one-on-one with a man in a halfback position. He throws a little dump pass. That is totally Randy and Brooks. And very few times will you find a linebacker come out first in a battle of that type. But he just keeps doing it.
This is the 43rd meeting between the Chargers and the Broncos, dating back to that American Football League's first season, 1960. The hit goes to Brooks, ran into one of his own guys, and he is slapped down hard at the 7-yard line. Lost yardage on the previous play, might have gotten back the 2 he lost. On the 2nd and 10 play, Brooks gets ahead for only a yard. It's going to be 3rd down and 11 for San Diego.
Yeah, we do run into our own people down when we expect somebody to make some movement, and there is none. That time, Reuben Carter just stood up the whole front of the line.
Chuck Muncie might have fractured a finger in the first half. X-rays taken at halftime. James Brooks is in there with John Cappelletti. Charlie Joyner, wide left, has only caught one for 4 yards. Fouts is looking at him. There's the throw to Joyner. Oh, he took a look at Foley. The free safety sweeping on in. It's an incomplete pass, and now the Chargers have to punt the ball from their end zone.
That's something you don't see Charlie Joyner ever getting caught doing. He just took a glance at Foley, and Foley is he will plant his head underneath your shoulder pads.
He's about due to plant now because he got planted a little earlier, remember, by Kellen Winslow. Foley had a great first half, intercepted the ball twice. Roberts, George Roberts, a former Miami Dolphin, in the end zone, ready to punt the ball for San Diego. Low snap.
Shake.
Yep. Out of bounds, and the Broncos are going to come up with the ball inside the San Diego 30, right at it. I can't believe all this here in Denver.
Well, they better get started because they're going to see a lot more of it.
Punt was only 21 yards.
When it's going bad, it is going bad. Made a pretty good play just to get his hands on the ball and get the ball out of the end zone. The kick didn't so much.
Rick Parrow, starting fullback for Denver, has a slight concussion. He'll probably not play in the second half.
Oh.
Preston on the sweep. Penalty markers down. Looks like it'll go against the Broncos. Bob Greger, the free safety, came up to make the tackle for San Diego. Greger was on injured reserve all of last year. 4th-round draft choice in '80 out of Washington State. 13-12 to play in the 3rd quarter. Starting middle linebacker for San Diego, Cliff Thrift, injured an arm, bicep injury. He'll not play the rest of his second half. Chuck Muncie, the X-ray show, does indeed have a finger fracture. He'll not play in the second half.
Illegal block above the waist from the rear, number 25 receiving team.
It might be interesting to note that the way Thrift got his job was because Don Horn injured himself before the season started in training, trying to carry his car around the block.
Yeah, that was some. Bob Horn, trying to strengthen his legs, was pulling his car with some kind of a harness. He moved the car, but one of the legs went. Now in the penalty, it's 1st and 20 for Denver. 38-yard line of San Diego. Haven Moses in motion. There's going to be apparently intentional grounding.
It might be roughness.
Lyndon King took a full shot at Craig Morton. Morton hit one of his offensive tackles. Brodie Minor right in the back with the ball. He's not eligible.
Yeah, Craig's limping around back there. He hit pretty hard when he did hit. Looked to me like they could have called 2 penalties for grounding and for intentional roughness.
Coach Coryell can't believe all the things that are being heaped upon his team today.
Personal foul, rubbing the passer, number 57 defensive team. The pass was accidentally touched by an ineligible behind the line offsetting penalty.
Claudia Minor right in the back.
13:08 to play in the third quarter. At the end of just the fourth week of play of this 81 season, it looks like there's only going to be 3, maybe only 2 unbeaten teams.
Offsetting penalties. We had the roughing the pass on the defense. The pass accidentally hit an ineligible lineman behind the line on the offense. That is an offsetting penalty.
Thank you very much.
Takes care of that.
Philadelphia Eagles. Boy, they're tough. So well prepared. Blew it away in the second half and beat Washington. They're 4-0 on the year. Miami Dolphins had a tight one at Baltimore, but held on to win 31-28 in a late field goal. They go to 4-0. Dallas could go to 4-0. They beat the Giants. They're leading them now. Greg Morton swings it out. Ball is caught somehow. Wade Manning moving down the sideline, gobbling the ball, gets ahead inside the 35-yard line and down to the 32. And that is unbeaten season end of the day at Cleveland.
You know what Wade Manning is? He's a lot like Preston Pearson, the fellow that played at Dallas for so many years. He's an all-purpose type of running back. He can also play wide receiver. He's great on special teams, and he's just kind of a Johnny on the spot for him. And it was no accident he ended up in Denver. He started in Dallas.
That's right. As you check that Dallas waiver list pretty closely.
Yeah, they got several fellas here.
Larry Canada comes in the game, carries the ball on second down and 13 for Denver, gets it inside the 30. Bob Horn in the middle linebacker makes the stop for the Chargers. Leroy Jones at left end, Louis Kelcher at left tackle. Gary Big Hands Johnson is the right tackle, and Fred Dean, who walked out for a couple days this week, and the contract route is back and starting at right defensive end for San Diego.
Now, normally you'd say, okay, Denver's in pretty good field goal position. They can kick a field goal from 44 yards, which is definitely within the range of all field goal kickers in this game. But there's a pretty strong wind against them right now. They've got to pick up 6 or 7 more yards to really be in good field position.
Gusting wind sweeping out of the west. Morton stands in. He gets the time. He drills it, and once again, the sure-handed Steve Watson comes down with the ball for Denver. He's caught 7 today, just as he caught 7 last week. So this week he has a lot more yardage.
Don't seem to get too excited about it either. You see, the whole key is how much time he's getting. Now, this is a blitz. Woodrow Lowe's trying to come in, but they've got him picked up with 2 offensive linemen. Nobody gets near Morton, and he allows Watson to take his time, run his pattern, and hits him.
Numbers are better than San Diego, all of their receivers. Canada and Tony Reed, the setbacks now for Denver. First down and 10 for the Broncos. 17-yard line of San Diego. Tony Reed turns the corner, puts a move on, gets to the 14-yard line. Lyndon King, one of the linebackers, was out of the tackle for San Diego, along with the free safety Bob Greger. It's amazing the resurgence, John, in this Denver team. Broncos started to slump recent seasons last year. Looked like they might be getting old at certain positions. Now Morton in his 17th year looks like a young man, and the defense is right where it used to be.
It's amazing how young you start to look when you start doing the right things offensively.
He's a guy who put it together in his first year. Dan Reeves, for the last 4 years, has been rumored as a head coaching candidate. Now 37, he gets the job. Here's a throw and a completion. Tough Tony Reed takes the ball down at the 6-yard line and holds on. Very close to a first down. Looks like he might have it.
He's got it.
Woodrow Lowe, who is a sticker, hits him, but he holds on.
All right, again, Tony Reed makes the play. Looks like a simple little pattern. But Morton gets an opportunity to come back here. Wait. Finally, Reed breaks through. Free and nothing but pitch and catch there.
Our producer today for NBC is Don McGuire. Our director, Jim Cross, as the game clock shows 9:38 to play in the third quarter. Denver challenging for a 5th touchdown in this game. As the San Diego Chargers, coming in unbeaten, scoring 38 points a game on the average, have been blank so far. And Craig Morton is having perhaps his greatest numbers day. 14 of 15 throws. 4 touchdown passes. We'll be back right after this. That's the Denver chicken doing his number here today. He just stamped all over a San Diego pennant. Stuffed it in his mouth. San Diego's been getting stuffed on offense today, and right now the Denver Broncos are challenging for yet another touchdown. They have the first down inside the 6-yard line of the Chargers. Preston working hard, and it gets down to the 2. It'll be 2nd and goal from there. He's not big, but he'll run in the middle. 5'10", 195, takes it ahead down to the 2-yard line.
Well, they haven't run the ball excitingly, but they've run it very effectively throughout the ball game. They picked up 4, 5, 6 ever since the first 2 drives when San Diego stuffed them at the line of scrimmage, forced them into throwing the ball. It was the biggest break they could get.
3 tight ends in the game. Preston gets the ball again, dips inside, and he goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
This group.
They love all of it. This town was high in anticipation of this game. They were ready for San Diego, not only the team, but also the fans.
Okay, that's just excellent running. Certain guys have the ability to find the goal line when they're inside that 5 or 6, and Dave Preston is one of them.
On the way and good. So the extra point is good again, and we have the most unlikely score on the board here in Denver. The Broncos 35, the San Diego Chargers nothing. Next Sunday, join host Brian Gebel for NFL 81. All the highlights, the scores, the late-breaking news from all the games. Then a doubleheader of NFL action here on NBC, featuring an AFC Eastern battle. Burt Jones leads the high-powered offense of Baltimore against the defense of the Buffalo Bills. Cleveland Browns, who upset Atlanta today, travel to Los Angeles to meet the Rams. Check your local listings for the games in your area next Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time on NFL 81. Here's the kickoff. Here come the San Diego Chargers, ripping it out. Getting ahead for some fairly good yardage on the play for San Diego is Andre Thompson. Just acquired from Green Bay. One of the people, the only person that's come in so far. A lot more draft choices, Will, for John Jefferson.
Well, Andre Thompson doesn't have any 36-yard play or point play he can call on. And right now, I think you may see some wholesale changes, even with 25 minutes left to go in the ball game.
Fouts, his team down 35-0, throws a strike. His tight end, Kellen Winslow, gets the ball out across the 30. Get ahead for 8 yards. Denver defense laying way back now. They know the long plays have to come, and San Diego's even going to get close to getting in this game.
Well, what happened is Denver's offense took the ball game away, forced San Diego to do the things that Denver wanted San Diego to do. Allow their linebackers to take deep drops, pursue after the ball is thrown, keep Fouts from being able to throw the ball down the field effectively, and I think the stats with Winslow and Joyner state that pretty easily.
It's now 2nd down and 3. Dan Fouts takes a look. Got a man open, Kellen Winslow. He's ahead, knocks to midfield at the 49. There is a possibility part of our network will be switched to the Kansas City-Seattle game. Right now in Denver, Colorado, there's 7:45 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Denver surely is number 1 today. That's been the story. The Chargers have been down, but they came into this game unbeaten. They'll go to 3-1, as will Denver.
And I think Craig Morton's seen enough for the day. He's 14 out of 15 for about 250 and 4 TDs. I think you'll see DeBerg when they get the ball back.
Tough to improve on that, so DeBerg will get his shot. They got another good quarterback here, a rookie from Purdue, Mark Herman. Now, Eric Sievers, the rookie tight end from Maryland, catches the ball for San Diego. The first down play, he got about 9. Usyk and Swenson were on the tackle.
Okay, let's take a look at Denver's defense. Those linebackers, 53, 58. They're dropping deep. They're letting anybody come in underneath. Let a back come in underneath. We can catch them, give them 5 or 6 yards. You see 7 people back there, 8 to 10 yards in depth. That's been the story.
Second down and less than a yard for the Chargers. Draw, James Brooks. Not big, but he works hard. He hits hard. He gets ahead to the 40-yard line. He's got a first down for San Diego.
Yes, sir. That's Lyndon King, and he has been worked on just as all the linebackers for the Chargers.
Ron Smith goes wide right. Charlie Joyner's out to the left. Comes Smith in motion. Fouts takes a look. Lofts a long ball. Ron Smith is going for it. What a catch! Touchdown, San Diego. What a great play. Chargers can hit you fast, and they just do. Looked like it was overthrown, and Smith somehow got the ball and goes into the end zone.
And he pulled a hamstring as he did score the touchdown. He extended himself about as far as it could be done.
Yeah, he did pull a hamstring.
Yeah, he came up with 6 points, but just take a look at how well the ball had to be thrown. This is Bill Thompson coming all the way across the field with Smith now one-on-one all the way down the field. This isn't what you call beating a defender. This is what you call great execution. Then gets back, sets up, puts the ball up in the air early. That's his fort. Doesn't throw it more than 40 yards in length. Throws it right where it has to be thrown.
As you mentioned earlier, John, there is the tailwind coming out of that end of the field, and that caught Fouts' ball. Took it a little longer than he probably wanted it, but Smith, with his great speed, put on a burst, caught the ball, goes into the end zone, and then goes down with a hamstring pull. And Dan Fouts has a touchdown throw, but his team still trails 35-6 with 5:59 to play in the third quarter. So the Chargers, highest scoring team in the league, are on the board right now. Now let's go to New York to NFL 81 and Bryant Gumbel. Bryant?
Thank you very much, Don Criqui. Seattle's Jim Zorn is trying to bring the Seahawks back in the third quarter. Here's a 24-yard strike to David Hughes, who makes a nice grab, setting up a 2-yard touchdown run by Sherman Smith. Seahawks on the board, 20-14. Kansas City ahead in the third quarter.
Thank you, Byron Day. We're back here in Denver, Colorado with 5:59 to play in the third quarter. San Diego just struck on the long throw and got the touchdown there first of the day. Ron Smith walking off after he pulled a hamstring muscle going into the end zone. What a catch he made.
I say it was a hamstring, and it certainly appeared to be. He grabbed the back of his leg, and it seems to be something he pulled. But you can see how he has extended himself to about just as far as he could. One of the few great plays the Chargers have put forth today. In fact, the only one.
Yeah, it was. It's their first real big gainer. Rolf Benershka now comes out on the field to try an extra point. He's usually out there most of the afternoon with all the scoring San Diego does. And Luther holds. Benershka puts up a good extra point. And now it is a 35-7 game, and when we come back, the San Diego Chargers will be kicking the ball off, something they've done precious little today. Didn't take the Chargers long to get their first touchdown of this day. 39-yard payoff to Ron Smith from Dan Fouts for the touchdown. Here's the kickoff by Benershka. Wade Manning won't bring it out. So Denver will go on offense, first and 10 from their 20, and we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is KOA TV, Channel 4 in Denver.
Down the game to quarterback the Denver Broncos. 6'2", 205 pounds, fifth year from San Jose State. Recent seasons with the San Francisco 49ers.
And remember this, he started at Dallas. Where do you think Reeves saw him play? He played very well in San Francisco, and just happened that Joe Montana got to playing so well. Bill Walsh had to make a choice, and he decided to keep Montana. And Steve is up here.
You recall it was DeBerg who really got this thing going early when he threw that 34-yard completion on the one down he was in for Craig Morton. He was shaken up in the first quarter. And then a couple plays later, Morton threw for 19 yards in the game's first touchdown, Riley Odoms.
If you see the ball up in the air much more in this ball game, the Denver side, I'll be very surprised. It's not DeBerg's decision, you know. It is Reeves, but I just don't think it'll be put airbound.
Kansas City holding on over Seattle with a long way to go. We still could be sending some of our network to see that game. Right now, the Broncos go to the run, and here comes Preston turning the corner and getting out across the 25-yard line to the 28.
Larry Canada made a block on Duncan and absolutely buried him.
You're talking, John, about the day that Craig Morton's had 14 of 15 completions, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. His first pass he threw in the NFL, he was saying, was to Bob Hayes back in 1965 at the Cotton Bowl. Good for 65 yards and a touchdown. He said, I thought this game was easy.
And we're looking at Larry Canada right on Duncan, the safety. I mean, he's just all over him. And Canada is a special situation type player whenever they're trying to run out the clock or run him with the ball.
Big. Berg swings a pass out now. Tony Reed takes the ball for the Broncos. Goes out of bounds. Came on a 3rd and 3 play. Lyndon King, the left linebacker, was over to knock him out. Dan Fouts. Numbers aren't bad. The 2 interceptions hurt. They're not typical Fouts days. He's throwing for over 300 yards regularly. Last year, passed for 4,700 yards, over 4,700, an all-time NFL record. Dan Fouts, of course, came into pro football in the year of some great young quarterbacks. 73, Burt Jones came in that year. Jaworski, Joe Ferguson. Fouts is as good as any of them. Recent years, he brought out the best.
Or better.
Fair catch made by James Brooks at the 37-yard line of the Chargers. There they'll go on offense, 1st and 10 with 5:01 to play in the 3rd quarter. 37-yard punt. So when we come back, the Chargers go back on offense, looking to strike long as they did the last time they had the ball.
This is Byron Day in New York, and these kind of things will turn a coach's hair gray. On a pass to Ted McKnight. He fumbles the ball when he's hit. It's recovered by Gregory Johnson. Stunts the Kansas City drive. Seattle now has the ball. They trail by 6 in the 3rd quarter.
Thank you, Byron. Here we are back in Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado. Denver 35. The San Diego Chargers 7. San Diego with the ball, 1st down and 10. Lets a long one go. Joyner goes for it, makes a diving attempt. The coverage was there by 2-time All-Pro Louis Wright.
That's what he's got to do, though, Don. I know there's very, very little chance that he can really pull this ball game out. I mean, anybody else but Fouts had given it away a long time ago, but here you see, he finally gets Louis Wright one-on-one with Joyner. Now, Joyner could beat anybody one-on-one, but he doesn't beat Louis Wright very often. Makes a great play to try and pick up the reception, but can't get it.
Interesting day with these upsets. Central Division of the ASC finds all 4 teams, Cincinnati, Houston, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, now standing with 2-2 records. Fouts throws too much on it. Kellen Winslow took a look at it, knew he couldn't get to the ball. 2nd down and 10 play from the 37-yard line.
Every play it's a different linebacker that fouls up the quarterback. That time it was Bob Swenson. He had Kellen Winslow one-on-one with him down underneath. Swenson weighs about 240.
They missed him last year, had the fractured arm, was out the whole year. Bob Swenson, 51. Number 1 draft choice now comes in. Dennis Smith, number 49. First-round choice out of Southern California. They think he'll be a great one. Fouts gets it away, and he goes to Charlie Joyner. It's a 1st down, San Diego. Fouts did well just to get rid of the ball, and they get the 1st down, the 3rd and 10 play.
I think sometimes Joyner has more luck against double coverage than he does single. That time it was Dennis Johnson watching underneath, which puts Louis Wright in the deep outside. When that happens, Joyner runs a simple little pattern on Smith, gets the ball, steps out of bounds for a 1st down. He will beat double coverage as much as any receiver I've ever seen.
17-yard gain in the play. Now the Chargers have the ball across midfield. Joyner comes out wide to the left. White Scales now in the game. He comes wide left for San Diego. Fouts with the lone setback. James Brooks gets it away, throws a strike to Kellen Winslow, who's ahead inside the 35-yard line. He has another San Diego 1st down as the Chargers now start to rip it.
You can see how tough the yardage comes, Don. Now he's trying to go to Joyner and Winslow, even though they are double covered, even though it is tough. They've got to come up with the big plays for him. 2 linebackers playing him in and out, but he still picks up the 1st down. Look at this big fella. Now he takes care of Swenson, but not really. Swenson's on the outside. Just a good play.
1st down and 10, San Diego. 35-yard line of Denver. Out stands in. Long ball. Joyner's out there going for the ball. There's too much on it. Out's throwing with a tailwind. And carried the ball as Charlie Joyner had the secondary beat. Running alone in the end zone. Very nearly another San Diego score.
They haven't stopped their policy. They've just been stuffing them play after play after play. And you get the top receivers, get them a couple balls, get their head up a little bit. That time he beat Aaron Kyle pretty badly, but a lot of wind. Fouts threw the ball a little hard.
John, you've known Dan Fouts long before he was even a high school quarterback, when he was a ball boy with the San Francisco 49ers.
That's right. You mentioned all these other great quarterbacks came out of school at the same time. He was a third draft choice, and quite a surprise to some, but not to those of us who knew him.
The University of Oregon. Fouts throws in the flat, goes to Kevin Winslow. So they teach it in tackling school. Aaron Kyle, not too big. Another ex-Cowboy comes up and knocks down the big guy, drives him back. 2nd and 10 play. They didn't get anything. It's going to be 3rd and 10 for San Diego.
Couldn't hold on to the ball.
Fouts 17 for 28, 198 yards now and 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Both picked off by the Denver free safety, Steve Foley.
Yeah, you'd say, hey, those are pretty good stats, but in actuality, because of the personality of the San Diego offense, those aren't good. They feature what they're going to do down the field, and that's been taken away from them.
3rd down and 10 now, San Diego. Fouts stands in, throws the ball. Joyner goes high and can't get to it.
Okay, sometimes you get a look at a play even when it's ineffective. What Fouts has done for years and years and years with Joyner is he'll throw the ball into double coverage before the deep back can recover. Now watch. Here comes Charlie, just turns to the inside. This ball is already on its way. Throwing it inside on Kyle. The ball is thrown too high. Had it been on the mark, Foley would not have gotten there in time.
Ralph Benerska, who can hit it a long way, is going to try a 53-yard field goal. Ed Luther holds. Got that wind behind him. He's got plenty of distance, and he is right there. Ralph Benerska right through the bars, 53 yards away, and the Chargers have now scored their last 2 possessions. We're still in the 3rd quarter. It's a 35-10 game, Denver. Ralph Benerska ready to hit the Pete Rozelle NFL football as he kicks off now with the wind at his back, drives it into the end zone. Goes over the head of Wade Manning, out for a touchback, and the Broncos will go on offense 1st and 10 at their 20. 3:36 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Chargers having scored their last 2 possessions, but it won't be long now, John. They'll be firing into the wind.
That's right. It makes it just a little bit tougher. We're going to take a look at the offensive line for Denver, because now is the time when, obviously, they're going to be very conservative in their play selection. It doesn't mean that they can be unaggressive.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited. Don Criqui with John Brodie, Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado. Broncos with the ball after leading 28-0 at the half. They're up now 35-10 in the 3rd quarter. Steve Watson catches another one. All day long. This time he turns out on Willie Buchanan.
Well,
8 now.
Watson's just having so much fun, and DeBerg's loving an opportunity to play. He's only been in Denver for 3 or 4 weeks, and I imagine the thought of Reeves is, hey, we've got to get back and do the things we were doing early in the ball game effectively, and not stand around and try to protect a 25-point lead, because if there's one group that can catch us, it's the Chargers.
And next week, Denver is off to Oakland to play the Raiders. Watson has caught 8 for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns. Handoff goes to Preston. He's ahead across the 30 out to the 32-yard line.
First down.
Willie Buchanan coming over from the left corner to make the tackle for San Diego. On short yardage, they get the 1st down, and so 4 new downs for the Denver Broncos.
Tackle by Buchanan.
79, Gary Big Hands Johnson, the #1 choice in 75 of San Diego. Loves to get the quarterback, says it's like going hunting.
Yeah, might have brought his gun, but he didn't put any shells in it today.
Did last year, though. I think he led the AFC in sacks with over 17. 17 and a half he was credited with. Now it's 1st and 10, Denver Broncos. DeVer throws. David Moses lets it sail on overhead. David Moses football at San Diego State under the current San Diego Chargers coach Don Coryell. Dan Reeves, we were mentioning earlier, 37, is the youngest National Football League coach right now. Came in here after spending 8 years as a player and partially a player coach with Dallas. The last 3 seasons he was offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Last year they were the highest scoring team in football, 454 points, and scored 60 touchdowns. They've really started to score the last 2 weeks here at Denver under Reeves. 28 points last week, 35 already today in the 3rd quarter. 2nd down and 10 carry. Preston gets the ball to the 35. The scores on this 4th Sunday of play. Miami on a late field goal by Von Schaumann extends its record to 4-0, winning 31-28 at Baltimore. Minnesota, coming back from a 10-0 deficit, beats Green Bay. Kansas City holding to a 6-point lead over Seattle in the 4th quarter. Dallas leading the Giants 10-3. 2 unbeaten teams are in the books with 4-0 records. Dallas could be. There's San Francisco leading New Orleans. Shotgun formation for DeBerg on 3rd and 6. He throws. It's incomplete. So now the Chargers will get the ball back on a punt with 1:54 left to play in the 3rd quarter. They'll still have the wind at their back for that long a time.
Well, DeBerg had a little misconnection that time with Lyland. He had him one-on-one with King, and King made a fine defensive play. Never did allow him to get open.
Prestridge. I've forgotten how to punt. Hasn't been out there much. James Brooks is back as a single safety for San Diego. Tremendous punt into the wind. Brooks lets it hit. Goes out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. Great punt by Big Luke Prestridge of the Broncos. So the Chargers get back the ball. They've scored the last 2 times they've had it. Now let's switch back to New York to NFL 81 and Byron Day. Byron?
Thank you very much, Don Criqui. The Seattle Seahawks are now on the move early in the 4th quarter. Jim Zorn scrambles from his own 27-yard line all the way down to about the 11-yard line, but still they trail by 6 in the 4th. Don?
Thank you, Byron. Here we are, John Brodie, with that punt again by Prestridge.
Simple little 2-step punt, but into the wind, and the wind is blowing at about 15 miles an hour. 50-yard punt is no little thing.
Now Brooks breaks a gainer. Coming off tackle, he comes across the 15-yard line. Works his way out close to the 18. Got about 5 on the run. Behind Ed White and Russ Washington, 2 big veteran offensive linemen on the right side for San Diego. Washington in his 14th year out of Missouri. Came into the league in '68. Ed White in his 13th year out of Cal at Berkeley. Third quarter winds down to 1:15 to play in the quarter. Scales in motion. Fouts goes back to the run. James Brooks carries on 2nd down and about 6. He got ahead for maybe 3 yards. James Brooks is a working guy. Came in as a #1 draft choice in college. He played in the same backfield 1 year with William Andrews of Atlanta and Joe Cribbs of Buffalo. All of them down together at Auburn.
This is Kellen Winslow. When we say he's an all-purpose type tight end, he can block at 250 pounds. You see what he does to Dennis Smith. And Ed White's out in front leading the block. They haven't given up. They haven't thrown the towel in. They have every reason to.
They have not done that and will not. There Coryell keeps humming right through 4 quarters, regardless of the score. Here comes Fouts looking for some. He's got a man. Charlie Joyner gets open. He has a 1st down up to the 34-yard line. Joyner now getting open more than he was in the 1st half when he was held to 1 reception for 4 yards. Came in with a spectacular yard per reception average over 25.
It's just getting tougher and tougher, but he is going to his 2 top receivers right now, Winslow and Joyner. They sit down when things are going poorly for them. They sit down and try to figure something that will work out. They've come up with a few solutions. They've been a lot more effective in this half than they were in the 1st.
1st and 10 for San Diego. 3rd quarter clock down to 21 seconds. Chargers trail 35-10. Over the middle, there's a catch by Eric Sievers, the rookie tight end. Another big gainer for the San Diego Chargers. A 15-yard reception and run by Sievers out to the 48-yard line.
Boy, Fouts made a fine play that time because Rulon Jones was right in his face when he threw the ball. Had to come off his prime receivers. He can get the ball out of his hands as fast as any player I have ever seen from the time he decides to throw it to somebody.
At the end of the third quarter, the score is Denver 35, San Diego 10. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
This is Byron Day in New York, and that great Seattle drive has been stopped. 4th and 1. Sherman Smith fumbles at the goal line. Kansas City recovers. Kansas City leads in the fourth quarter, 20-14. Now back.
Thank you, Byron Day. We have 15 minutes to go in this game as we open the fourth quarter. Opposing coaches. Coryell to the right, looking for that whipping pass game of Dan Fouts to keep connecting. They scored their last 2 possessions. Now they have the ball first and 10. They're 49 back to the run. Everybody swings right. Look at Brooks go the other way. He's got blockers. James Brooks. He came up lane pulling a hamstring. That is the bane of so many of these great sprinters. Their tremendous leg development. And the hamstring pops.
Well, I think the problem being, Don, is that he had a little hamstring before the game.
He did.
He got rid of it, and he felt he was in good enough shape to play. He had to really put a burst on to outrun the defensive linebacker, and in doing so, picked up a big gain, but he's probably lost for 2 or 3 ball games. We mentioned these guys have not quit. Take a look. Here's Ed White, number 67 in your screen. There's a guard that can get out and lead a play. Now, he played for a long time in Minnesota. Has been outstanding in San Diego. We see now Brooks pulls up lane.
Clarence Williams in the backfield. Fouts a deep drop, throws the ball out. Kellen Winslow has the ball, and blockers there. Look at these blockers of Kellen Winslow. A freight train of a runner at 250 pounds takes the ball inside the 15-yard line, down to the 12, and the Chargers are challenging again with a long time to go.
You'd say it wasn't enough time for anybody else, but we've mentioned it 15 or 20 times in the broadcast. San Diego just keeps coming at you. Now, for them to get back in this ball game with any realistic chance to win, most people would have you committed, but this game isn't over yet.
Well, sir, we're going to play out the full 4 quarters. Muncie hasn't played at all in the second half. A great runner receiver for San Diego. Finger fracture. Here's Capoletti. Power back from Penn State takes it straight at the Denver defense inside the 10-yard line. A gain of about 5. Game clock down to 13:55. 35-10 is the score. A lot of smiles at halftime here in the press box. Got a whole new regime here at Denver. Edgar Kaiser, the 38-year-old owner. Brady Alderman, the new general manager. Dan Reeves, the new 37-year-old head coach. Just like they like it today. But look out for San Diego. They can make things happen, and they have been their last 3 possessions. Swing pass. Capoletti might have had some room to go. Look at the block. Don Masick, the center.
Unloaded on Billy Thompson. He knows who to go after. That was a bad throw.
He'd have gone into the end zone if it was a little lower.
I think in all the years I've watched Fouts throw those swing passes, I have not seen him miss 5.
Big down now for the Chargers. 3rd down and almost 6 from the 7-yard line. Fouts has thrown 34 times. He's completed 20 for 245 yards. 3rd down. Fouts looks. He's got a man. Kellen Winslow. He keeps on trucking. Kellen Winslow can't get into the end zone, but it looks like he got the first down.
He did on a great individual play.
We'll be back to watch the Chargers go for the touchdown, but first to Byron Day in New York.
Thanks, Don Criqui. Things are going so well for Kansas City in the Kingdom. Watch this. James Hadnot first to the line. The ball is pried loose. It's bobbled around. Kansas City finally falls on the ball for about a 10-yard gain. Not a bad way to rush a football. 2014, Kansas City still leads in the 4th.
Thank you, Byron. We're set to go now here in Denver. The Chargers coming back in the second half. First and goal from the 1-yard line. Penalty marker goes down. Penalty marker at the line of scrimmage.
I do think it's against Denver, however. They had somebody jump early. Looking at the offensive line, it looked pretty well set.
Clarence Williams was into the 13-17.
Offside, number 75 defense.
Rulon Jones left early. So now the Chargers will try to power the ball with Cappelletti and Clarence Williams the setbacks. It's Kellen Winslow in motion. Handoff, Cappelletti, touchdown San Diego.
All right, baby, the game is not quite over yet.
A little bit of life in that Chargers
When you
side.
have 13 minutes to go, remember, they scored 17 points in less than 8 minutes, okay? 17 points would put them one back, and the momentum has shifted, and you can feel all the tension in Mile High Stadium. It's still there. It's quiet, but it's there.
Just didn't have the folks in San Diego on the edge of their seats for most of the afternoon. It does now, though, as the Chargers have come alive, scoring quickly. Now Ralph Benerski looks to put up a 17th point for San Diego. He does. And with 13-14 left to play in the game, the San Diego Chargers with 17 second-half points now trail the Broncos 35-17. We'll be back after this. Back at Denver, the San Diego Chargers are starting to get back in this thing with 17 points in the last 8 minutes, and John Brodie looks like Morton's going to come back in.
Well, that's indication enough that tells you how Reeves feels. I've seen a lot of teams come back from 17 down with 13 to go. I said at halftime I'd never seen anybody come back from a 28-0 deficit, but that isn't the case now.
There'll be a penalty.
Kickoff, there's going to be a penalty. Kick going out of bounds, so Benerski will now kick it off from his 30. Both starting backs are out for the rest of the day. Muncy has been the entire second half with a fractured finger. Now James Brooks, the official diagnosis is a pulled hamstring. He'll not play again in this game.
You know what I said? I said I think Morton's coming back in the ball game. That was a mistake. It looks to me as if DeBerg's coming back. He was talking to Reeves on the sideline. Morton doesn't have his helmet in his hand, and I know he'd like to wear one if he was coming back on the field. So I'm assuming DeBerg is going to stay in there.
Morton started to warm up again. He's standing right with his coach. There he is with Dan Reeves, his old friend. Rookies together at Dallas in '65.
Those two guys were standing right down there, 18 points down to us in a championship game out of San Francisco about 8 years ago. 13 minutes later, they won.
Now here's the kickoff. Preston will take it 15-yard line. Cuts back in the middle. Great open field tackle by the special.
Oh!
What do we have here? Has San Diego got the ball?
Very close. San Diego doesn't have it. They ruled the ball dead when his shoulder hit the ground.
Hank Bauer. He came down, made that open field tackle. Hank makes this club with his special teams play.
Hank Bauer's made a lot of open field tackles, and I noticed on the first kickoff to start the ball game, he forced the play, and he's forced every kickoff since. That's an excellent play on special teams. He could make this team if he didn't do anything else. You feel a little shift in Old Mo?
Old Mo has definitely shifted here in the Mile High City. And a long way to go, 12:58 to play. DeBerg still working at quarterback. First down and 10 for the Broncos. To the right. Canada takes the Preston at the 25. Great ball. San Diego has the ball. You might be witness to one of the all-time comeback sports fans.
They
Do not go away yet. So the Chargers get the ball back on a fumble recovery. We'll be back to watch them in action, but first to New York, to NFL 81 and Byron Day.
Thanks very much, Don Criqui. Kansas City on the move, returning the favor that Seattle gave them when they fumbled. But Kansas City now fumbles. Delaney fumbling, Harris picking it up. And the Chiefs are ahead 20-14 with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Don?
All right, here we go at Mile High Stadium. Has started up. The foot stamping has started among the 76,000 that jam this stadium for every Bronco whole game. Here is Fouts looking into the end zone, throwing short. Kellen Winslow catches the ball. He's down to a 15-yard line. He got 10. Might be just short of the first down. The big guy, 6'6", 250 pounds, reached up one hand and took it down.
I'll tell you what they did here is they sent Kellen out late. Was again a little high with the ball, but Winslow, anything in his area, he seems to bring down. They've run a lot of delay patterns, trying to get the linebackers deep, throwing underneath them, and they've been very effective in the second half, throwing to their best two receivers.
They're working into the wind, but you'll remember that Denver scored first 3 passing touchdowns at this end of the field. Now the Chargers, who've been scoring quickly. Fouts looks, end zone ball. White scales, he's up. And now the penalty marker, it's going to go against the Denver Broncos.
Well, I don't know.
I think it is. Louis Wright's bringing protest up, but the officials are calling the play down to the goal line. And we have got something happening in Denver. 17 points scored by the Chargers in the last 8 minutes, and they're ready to go in again. Trailing in the game 35-17.
Number 20 defense. First down on the 1-yard line.
And Dwight Scales made an excellent play to get in a position to force Louis Wright to do something about it. He'd have come down with this ball had Louis Wright not interfered with him. A very close call. Wright, you know, plays that bump and run very well, but Scales gets underneath him to get position on the ball, forcing Wright to make the penalty.
The good times were rolling here in Denver earlier this day, but now there's cause for concern as Cappelletti takes it down to the goal line, but not in. Not in. And the game clock goes down to 12:02 to play.
This is when they sorely need a Chuck Muncie. He is not healthy. We mentioned again, James Brooks, also their other first-string back, is not available. Cappelletti, who does a yeoman's job in there, has got to carry the brunt of it.
Coach Coryell has seen his team come flying back many times before. This would be the all-time Charger comeback. They were down in this game. They were out of it. Over the top. And again, the Denver defense holds. It'll be 3rd down and goal from a yard away.
All right, we mentioned their offensive line had not given up, but they've got to create enough room to get them in the end zone on this play. Because every time they're stopped, it runs off seconds on the clock. 11:40 to go in the game. 17-point difference. They're down on the 1-yard line. 3rd down and 1.
If San Diego does score, they'd be down by 11 with a successful extra point. And then need to score 2 touchdowns. Touchdown and the field goal wouldn't do it for them. They'd still be a point behind. Right now, though, the Chargers looking to get this touchdown. 3rd and goal, a yard away. Cappelletti the up back. Toss. And Winslow is up on hand. These guys do it in a hurry as the Chargers come back and score again. A most remarkable comeback.
That guy made that play look like it was just an easy little catch, and I guarantee you there aren't 5 players in the National Football League would have touched the ball. Look at this. Now he's just kind of lollygagging out there. Fouts throws it a little high again. Winslow just puts up a mitt, brings it in. Thank you very much, and now they're within 12, trying to get to 11.
Boy, there is a different ambiance to this 76,000 Denver fan crowd.
I'm going to bet you Morton's back in there in this series.
Extra point up and good. When the Chargers start to strike, they do it in a hurry, and now they've scored quickly. 24 second-half points. They're down by 11 with a long time to go.
This is Byron Day in New York, and in the Kingdome in Seattle, Jim Zorn trying to rally his troops. This 12-yard strike to Johns is keeping the Seattle drive alive. They're still down by 6, 20-14, 5.5 left to go in the game.
Morton warming it up after a great outing in the first half when he completed 14 of 15 for 250 yards, 4 touchdowns.
When it was 35-0, you had the feeling maybe he'd done enough for today, but right now you don't get that feeling.
Here comes Wade Manning with the ball for Denver. Boy, it hurts when you run in the middle of that wedge. Ray Preston was the first man down, make the tackle for the Chargers, and now the offense comes out. Number 7 comes out, the 17-year veteran Craig Morton.
Where's his white horse? You might need it.
They want to control the ball. They don't want San Diego to get it back. The Chargers have been in the end zone moments after they've gotten the ball. Last 4 times, they were down 35-0 in this game. Now the Chargers have come back. It's 35-24 and still 11:05 left to play. Morton takes a look. He's got a problem. Gets away. Goes. A man is open. Haven Morton. And he's out of bounds at the 48-yard line of San Diego. If he'd been able to stay in bounds, it would have been touchdown city for Denver.
Now, people have talked about Morton and his immobility. He created that completion because all his receivers were very well guarded, but check his footwork in the pocket. He doesn't move a lot, but he does move the right way. Look at this. He's moved around in this pocket, and as soon as he hits Haven Moses wide open on the sideline, you know Morton's loving it. That's right. He knows what's going on.
Morton. Quarterback there. That's something he does not want to be.
That was a mistake. He is hot, and whoever that back is, he went the wrong way.
He surely is. He was a great baseball player. They wanted him as a major league pitcher. Believe it or not, Dan Reeves, his coach, had a major league quality fastball, but he couldn't throw it in the strike zone. He still has a headline, John, of a game he pitched at South Carolina. The score read, Reeves pitches one hitter and wins 9-7.
Yeah.
He walked 12 and hit 6 batters.
He's a little concerned right now.
And with reason. 2nd down and 9 now for Denver. Morton deep shot. And the Odom is open. Morton himself. Zero in on him. Big corner. Middle backer. 6:55. Came up to make the play. So did 71 Fred Dean.
And that's what, it was a fine play by Craig to keep him from the ball, because when a defensive lineman hits you from behind, he's always going for the ball. Craig didn't see him. Doesn't look like he's too well either.
He's been down, hit hard a few times today.
I think you're going to find him back in the huddle.
Oh, we've got some wind blowing today.
No, you won't.
So Craig Morton comes off the field. Up switch back to NFL 81 in New York and Byron Day. Byron?
Thank you very much, Don Criqui. The Seattle Seahawks continuing to drive in the Kingdome. Less than 3 minutes to go. Zorn completes a 13-yard pass to his favorite receiver, Steve Largent. They're still behind by 6 in the Kingdome, but the game's far from over. Back to you, Don.
And we're set to go with a 3rd down play coming up for Denver. Shotgun formation. DeBerg is in the game for Craig Morton. Berg looks, he throws, and Riley Odom makes the reception for a 1st down for the Broncos. So Denver, when they have to control the ball, are able to do it here in the 4th quarter. 9:23 to play, and big Riley Odom makes the reception for 1st down yardage down to the 23-yard line.
Boy, they've just changed the whole flow. DeBerg made a real big completion in the 1st half when things looked at a low. Led him to their 2nd touchdown. Now he stays right in the pocket, hits Odom just as he makes his break. Perfect throw, 1st and 10 on the 23.
19-yard gain to big Riley Odom. Tight end is as big as an offensive tackle. Pitch back, Preston, Canada blocks, and Preston turns upfield inside the 20. 1st down carries good for about 4 for the Charger, or for the Broncos. Now they're inside San Diego's 20-yard line. Craig Morton shaken up so briefly, right back, ready to work. 8:57 to play, and importantly for Denver, and importantly for San Diego, the clock is running. Broncos want to run it down. They lead the game 35-24 after San Diego has scored 24 unanswered points here in the 2nd half. Denver led this game 35-0. 2nd and 6. Morton stands and throws. There's Riley Odom for the ball. And the big guy from Houston takes it down inside the 5-yard line and stays inbounds. Raising the cheer again in Denver.
Well, for a while we thought that horse was going to get shin splints running around the track, Don, but he hasn't had much to run about lately. Riley Odom just made 2 fine plays. That one, he took the ball on what looked like would put him down to about the 9-yard line, carried it down to inside the 5, and those are 5 important yards.
And a 1st down. So now Morton and the offense go almost point-blank range at the San Diego goal line. 1st and goal from the 4. Clock running. 7:53 to play. Handoff. Preston cuts inside. Problems. He goes down at the
Fumble.
San Diego says they've got the ball.
do.
So do the striped shirts, and the Chargers have the ball back. And here comes the San Diego offense on the run out onto the field.
Yep.
7:46 to play. Isn't this something?
We'll take a look at Preston. This is something he very seldom does. If I was in a situation where I wanted a guy to maintain control of the ball, I'd give it to Dave because he is sure-handed. when you change direction, it often puts you in a bad position. Fred Dean stripped him of the ball, and one of the Chargers fell on him. But remember, Don, these guys are in a short time offense right now. They've got to score 2 touchdowns in 7 minutes and 46 seconds. They've got to hurry up, get back to the huddle. They've got to call plays, but get them out of there quick and down the field.
Well, they had 3 touchdowns and a field goal in 10-minute span at one point. Here is Fouts, setting them up. Scales left. Joyner right. From his end zone. And Fouts takes a look. There's the home run ball. And the closest guy to it was Perry Smith of the Denver Broncos. So, with 7:38 to play in the game, let's switch back to New York and Byron Day. Byron?
Okay, Don, in the Kingdome, the Seattle drive has been stopped. Zorn back to pass from his 35. The pass is knocked away by Kansas City's Eric Harris. Ball goes over to Kansas City. They lead 20-14, less than 2 minutes to go in the game. Don?
All right, Byron, back at Mile High Stadium. The Rocky Mountain Thunder again cascading down from huge Mile High Stadium. The foot-stamping Thunder as it's 2nd down and 10 now for the Chargers. The 7-yard line. Fouts into his end zone. He gets some time. He takes a look. He lets it go. Joyner's out there. And the ball might be intercepted, isn't it? Steve Foley has a 3rd interception. Foley comes up with the ball and nails out inside the 20-yard line. Penalty markers are down. Penalty markers are down in the secondary.
The most offensive player, Don, that I've seen all day is Bryson Manor when they get an interception.
But let's see.
I think they call a penalty for clipping on Manor on Ed White.
San Diego's defense is coming out.
Fouts knows he hasn't got a lot of time to get something going. They can't afford to take a long drive. They wouldn't get the ball back. He's coming down trying to get a big play. Charlie Joyner, why wouldn't you go down there? Foley's jumps in front of the play for his 3rd interception. Take a look. You see Thompson inside.
Above the waist from the rear, number 66 on the receiving team. First down.
It was Bryson Manor. Charlie Joyner can't interfere with the interception.
Steve Foley, what a day. 3 interceptions for the Broncos. And so after they lost the ball not that long ago when they drove down close to the San Diego goal line, the Broncos get it back on Foley's 3rd interception. Now they have the ball 1st and 10 at the San Diego 35-yard line. 7:24 left to play. Pitch back, Kennedy. Checks on those tacklers and gets down to the 30.
Mike Williams has had a tough go out there at quarterback. Trying to take on Riley Odoms, Larry Cannon. Dan Reeves showing a little concern.
Dan Reeves looking for his 3rd win as a head coach in the NFL. For so long he's been rumored, young as he is, to be going to other teams. Speculation the New York Giants were going to hire him. Denver did, and apparently made a very wise move. This team is getting better and better. Right now the Broncos lead 35-24. 4th quarter, 7:18 to play in it. 2nd down and 6. To the run inside the 30 go the Broncos, down to about the 28. That'll bring up 3rd down and about 4.
For San Diego to keep any realistic chance of winning this ball game, Don, they have got to stop this drive.
Rob Lytle comes in, carries the ball, and now 3rd down comes up 3rd and 4 for Denver. Broncos huddling at their leisure, running that clock down to 6:45 to play. Chargers down 35-0 and scored 24 unanswered points in the 2nd half, but they still trail by 11. Shotgun. Morton calls timeout. Lyndon King jumped into a gap like he was coming out of blitz. So the clock is stopped with 6:36 left to play in the Don Criqui with John Brodie back at Mile High Stadium. That's the time remaining in the game. 6:36 to play. Denver a slight underdog coming into the game, leading San Diego 35-24. Broncos led at one point 35-0. 21-0 in the 1st quarter. 28-0 at the half. Then the Chargers roared back. Now here's a throw in it. Completion and a 1st down. Free ball. That's a fumble.
Sure it is.
And the Chargers
Rudolph out there standing all by himself. There was a San Diego mix-up defensively. They got a real big break, which keeps them in the game. All right, Morton's going back. He's got 3 wide receivers on the right side. Agoff's on the right sideline. Look at him in your picture as the ball goes by. Nobody around. All right, Duncan picks it up.
Fans of both these teams are well aware this rivalry dates back to the old American Football League. This has been like one of those games, 90 passes from 1960 and 80 points. San Diego gets the ball back on a fumble recovery. And now the Chargers have the ball at their 15-yard line with 6:26 to play in the game. Trailing Denver 35-24. Takes a look, throws to Charlie Joyner. He's sandwiched at the 30-yard line.
Boy, he sure was. I think I'd stay out of Steve Foley's way. He reads that stuff about as well as anybody I've seen back there. And he lays the wood.
Always been one of Fouts' leading receivers today. Got 3.
He might have gone for holding also. No, motion.
Safety Foley. Morton is 16 of 17 for Denver for 293 yards and 4 touchdowns. No interceptions.
Almost perfect. The only ball he didn't complete was a little over the middle pass to David Moses, and he wasn't open. So he hit every open receiver all day long.
That rating system John the league office uses with the computer. Warren's going to go right off the board on that one this week. Cappelletti fighting for a first down yard on 3rd and 1. John Cappelletti gets ahead for what's needed, and the clock continues to run with 5.5 minutes to go.
They've got to get moving, just like it's a. You see the crowd quiet. They're concerned. You know, they know San Diego's an explosive team. 2 touchdowns are not out of the question.
It's been well illustrated how explosive San Diego is, the way they rallied back here in the second half. Denver was ignited in the first quarter. They were on fire. San Diego came back in here, running hard as Cappelletti on a first down carry. Cappelletti might have lost the ball.
I don't think so. Denver thinks they've got it, but I think Cappelletti got it back.
Denver's quite sure they have the ball.
They do. Surprising to me, Don, that Fouts ran the ball with Cappelletti. They don't have Brooks or Muncie in the ball game. It's very uncharacteristic of them. The reason being, all 4 defensive backs were laying way back. They thought they could pick up 16 or 17 yards. All they got was a fumble.
1st and 10, and the Broncos go to the run, and Canada busts it through and almost takes it the distance. Pete Shaw submarined it. Frank Duncan also on the tackle as Canada. Straight slant run, got the big gainer down inside the 25-yard line. Very close to a first down. He's going to be just short of it. Lytle comes in with a play now, and the Broncos keep the clock running down to 4:35 and ticking. Very easily be 3-1 teams in the AFC West at day's end. Denver if they win, San Diego if they lose. Kansas City if they continue and beat Seattle. There's Canada again. They call him the mailman around here.
surge. They do use Canada whenever they're in a short yardage situation or ball control situation. You can see why.
Player down on the field, being a 10-2. So we have them on. Let's switch back to New York and to Byron Day. Byron? Thank you, Bryant. They're changing pictures on us in Studio 6B. That was Bryant Gumbel, as you know. And now the Denver Broncos on a first down carry go to the run and get more yards right up the middle, down the 11-yard line. And most importantly, from a Denver standpoint, John Brodie, they run the clock down to 3:24.
Well, they've got the defense demoralized. They gave them a little lift, knew that San Diego had the feeling they had a chance. They got the ball back for their offense, and in the last 3 series, the offense hasn't been able to move it very well. This is when it's easiest to run for an offensive football team. 11 points down, 3 minutes left to play. Pretty tough to hold yourself together.
Second down and 5 now at the 10-yard line. Rob Lytle straight ahead of the San Diego defense. He's down to the 6-yard line. And the clock keeps on ticking. 2:43 to play in the game as Morton leisurely convenes a huddle. Seen a lot of stuff in 17 years.
I think Dan Reeves is right. He is better than he's ever been.
That's what he says. He says his arm is better. He said when he first came up, John, he threw a real hard ball with the nose down. He was kind of hard to catch his ball. Third down and a yard now for Denver. Canada. Once again, the mailman delivers the mail. He's ahead for a first down for Denver, and the clock winds down to the 2-minute warning. And the Broncos close in on yet another touchdown. And it seems that San Diego is going to get back in it. Broncos come up with the turnovers, and now they're ready to close out this game. We'll be back at Mile High Stadium right after this. And with 2 minutes to go, we would like to welcome those viewers that have just joined us. The Denver Broncos and the San Diego Chargers football game is still in progress here in Mile High Stadium with the score Denver 35 and San Diego 24. So stay with us. Chips will be seen immediately following the conclusion of NBC football coverage over most of these stations, except for most Mountain and Pacific time zone stations, where it will be seen at its regular time. Coach Dan Reeves
With Jerry Fry down there, an ex-Oregon head coach, has been the offensive line coach for several years here. He's moved to Denver and loves it.
Let's watch the mailman, 35. He gets the ball, but does not get the end zone. Larry Canada goes down at the 3-yard line, and the clock winds down. 1:50 to play. The AFC West, considered by many to be as good a division as there is in football, could very well have 3 3-1 teams. The Oakland Raiders, defending champions of the National Football League, will be 2-2 after their defeat today at Detroit. They'll be at home next weekend, will the Raiders, to go against these Denver Broncos. Game you'll see in many of these same NBC stations. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is KOA TV, Channel 4 in Denver.
Second down and goal for the Broncos. Rob Lytle, touchdown Broncos, and that will do it, and Dan Reeves knows it.
And that's the sort of thing, you can see the sigh of relief on Dan's face. He knows they got caught in a momentum game, and what he will be able to point out, as Monday did in the movies, is 2 things. Number 1, he can give Denver's defense something to work on, because they didn't have anything up until the last couple of quarters when San Diego started moving the ball offensively. And number 2, how proud he is that these guys came back, never changed their game plan, and eventually just wore down the defense of San Diego.
The immortal words of Yogi Berra, "This one ain't over till it's over."
That seems relatively wise.
He's had a number of them. Steinfort kicks the extra points, and Denver extends its lead to 42-24. We have had points. It's like a halftime basketball score. Now let's go back to NFL 81 in New York.
Okay, Don, when we get back to you, we'll watch that Lido touchdown one more time. But now, first, a couple of more.
Thank you, Brian. Didn't realize that Denver, Oakland had not been shut out since '66. They won't be a very happy group when Denver goes there next week. 1:04 to play as the kickoff is returned. And San Diego goes on offense as Pete Shaw ran it back from the 37-yard line.
In defensive Oakland, you know, they only scored 7 against Denver also, but they're not the type team that is going to score a lot of points consistently every week. When they get things going, they'll strike at you. They throw the ball down the field, and they're subject to once in a while getting held to a low number of points. And they've had their quota for this year.
Then Fouts will come up a pitching. Long ball. Joyner. Tip ball. And Denver defensive back. Well, those linebackers in Denver get a deep drop.
We mentioned it all day long. The problem is when your back's up against the wall and you can't afford to throw underneath it because it doesn't do you any good.
We have a moment. Our thanks to our spotters, Ron Talpers and Al King, and our statistician, Ray Friedman, here in Denver. Our producer today for NBC, Don McGuire. Our director, Jim Cross. The executive producer of NBC Sports, Don Ohlmeyer. As we are now down to 59 seconds left to go in the game. San Diego's record to go to 3-1. Denver's will rise to 3-1. They've got a good thing going in the AFC West again. Here is the throw down on the sideline, and Charlie Turner can't hold on. 53 seconds left to play, and now let's, while we have a moment, swing back to Bryant Gumbel at NFL 81 in New York. Bryant? Down in 10 for San Diego. Outs again, dropping, again firing. This time a connection. Clarence Williams has the ball, and he is out of bounds at about the 49-yard line. John Brodie, where do you think these two clubs are headed from here? We still have 12 weeks to go.
Well, I think the most surprising thing is how effective Denver's offense is. This isn't just a fluke. They come out firing the ball. I think their whole offense is very well structured. And on San Diego's side, they've got to do something defensively. I don't care how many good players you have. If you don't play coordinately, you can't be effective. And today, they were beaten 4 or 5 times because of miscommunications. They were run off the line of scrimmage on occasion, but that's not their problem. They've got good defensive linemen. They've got to get some coordination back there and hold some teams to under 20 points. It will be a long year if they don't.
Winslow watches it fly overhead. That whole new defensive system in San Diego this year. Of course, Jack Pardee, most recently coach of Washington, and prior to that, head coach of the Chicago Bears, and twice NFL Coach of the Year, is now the defensive coordinator under Coryell at San Diego. And he has put new people in from a year ago, 4 new starters in the defense, and a whole new system.
And he said, Don, early before the ball game, he said, look, the problem has been we've got 5 guys that are new playing defense. 2 of them are safeties. Then we've got a middle linebacker. And in the middle of our defense, we're not well coordinated. So it might be a few weeks.
Everything holds up as it has been. We'll have 3 teams tied to lead the AFC West. Fouts has a problem, and Rulon Jones gets him. Rulon likes all that. And so in some largesse, he helps it up. We're going to swing right back to New York now to Brian Gumbel.
Okay, Don, since the baseball season's winding down, let's get you caught up on just what happened.
Hey, Brian, we're just about ready to run it out here in Denver, Colorado, as the Bronco fans are going to leave this big ball yard very happy. The Broncos extending their record to 3-1. Fouts throwing a long, incomplete pass, and now the clock down to 3 seconds to go.
You know what it looks like to me, Don, is as you watch Rulon Jones, he's had a great day on Billy Shields, who's become one of the top offensive tackles in the league. And that's really one of the big differences. How many teams would like to have one great defensive lineman? Now, Denver's been known for having fine defensive linemen. This guy looks to me like he may be the next great one.
6'6", 260 in the second year from Utah State. Rulon Jones. Final play of the game. It's a fire and a catch by Dwight Scales. Breathing, and will run out the clock, and that will do it. And they rise in salute to the Denver Broncos here in the Mile High City. Dan Reeves and his Broncos and the lady on the white horse with something to smile about as the Broncos move into co-leadership with the San Diego Chargers and quite possibly Kansas City at day's end if the Chiefs hold on and win that game. 42-24, the final numbers.
Don, I think we've reflected on everything there is to say in the ball game. Denver is just